Cuddling. All right. Now that all the council members are present, I call to order tonight's meeting of the City of West Sacramento City Council, West Sacramento Redevelopment Agency, and Finance Authority. We will begin with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we live, work, learn, and commune is the original homelands of the indigenous people of West Sacramento who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We acknowledge and we thank the original inhabitants who have occupied, maintained, and secured this place and who still exist on this land. We respect and celebrate the many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this land on which we gather. And the council met in closed session this evening on the items in the agenda, and there were no actions taken. We would like to invite our guest to join the council and staff in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led, let's see, where's Chief Benz? Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. As is noted on our agenda, City Council is prohibited by state law from discussing or taking any action on items that are brought up under item 1 for public comment, but it provides an important opportunity for a public forum. The public is given an opportunity at this time to address City Councils on issues not listed on the agenda. And we do ask that anyone wishing to address the council on this or any other item this evening to please fill out a request to speak card and return it to the clerk. We accept the request to speak cards up to the conclusion of the reading of the staff report on any particular agenda item. And once the staff report has been read and we open the item up for public comment, the clerk will announce your name for you to walk to the podium to speak. Now, in front of the clerk, there is a timer to ensure that everyone has a chance to be heard. We ask that all comments be limited to the specified number of minutes. Also in front of the clerk is an analog flip chart, which indicates which agenda item the council is currently considering. We also recognize that for some, speaking in public can cause anxiety, so we request that there be no applause or boos, catcalls, or any verbal demonstrations here in this room. And furthermore, so that we maintain a civil discourse here in the chambers, we ask that those in attendance and those who address the City Council abide by the Code of Conduct, which is posted, and not speak in loud, threatening, offensive, abusive, or other disrespectful language that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. Now, this brings us to item 1, presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the council, and each person has 3 minutes to speak. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
We do, but we need the report from the closed session before we start the public comment.
I did read. Closed session.
She did make the report.
Oh,
No
I'm sorry.
reportable action was taken.
Oh, sorry, I didn't pass that on to the city attorney since he wasn't in the room, and he can't report it this time.
Guy Stevenson?
Madam Mayor, City Council members, I'm not gonna be up here saying anything bad. I'm actually gonna say some things that are good. The people that you intend on selling the Pheasant Club to are very reputable people. And not only are they very reputable.
Mr. Stevens,
Yes,
are you speaking about the Pheasant Club?
I am.
Oh, could you hold off and
No.
put a request to speak card on that agenda item? Because at this time, and of course you do always, do speak on matters not listed on the agenda, and that's what this is for. If you don't mind, that would be great.
No, I gotta leave. I gotta go to San Diego, but I will respect you. So I guess what I'll say is, the fire department and the police department are doing a wonderful job over here in West Sacramento, which they always
They
do.
always are.
And I'm not going to say anything about the food vendors because I've been told that that issue's been addressed and it's in the works. It is a problem with me because of my license, and I see people that have gone through the mortuary business that have died from food poisoning. So yeah, I have an issue with it. And I also have giving bad food to people is not safe. But I'm not gonna say any more about it because this gentleman right here and other people with the city have said, look, we're gonna address it. And that's that. But what I was having is I was having a problem with environmental health, sending it over to here, and then over here, they were sending it back to environmental health. They were just passing the buck, and they weren't taking ownership. So that's pretty much the reason I got irritated about it. But as far as this other issue, I will give you respect. The only other thing I was gonna say is, God bless all the people in Canada for the Filipino festival that went on up there where some people got killed and hurt. Because I am a big supporter of the Philippines. I'm also a big supporter of Filipino people, and that I feel bad for that. And, you know, they are in my prayers, and I would ask that you people keep them in your prayers too. Thank you very much and have a great
Thank you, Mr. Guy. Appreciate
Ben Rafali?
Hello, Ben Raffelli, recycling coordinator for West Sac with WM. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly acknowledge the awesome Earth Day event that took place a couple of weeks back. Myself and my manager, Joe Catalogo, both tabled the event. Super successful. Tons of people came out. We were able to table, like I said, the event. We talked to a bunch of residents and fielded a bunch of questions, helped with a bunch of recycling questions, and yeah, it was fantastic. We also gave out a bunch of kitchen food pails, which was a huge hit. I think we bought about 50 of them, and within the first 10 or 15 minutes, they were gone. So it was a huge hit. But yeah, Joe and I, after the event, we kind of collaborated and we were saying that the event itself was probably one of the best events, if not the best event we've been to since joining WM. So yeah, we want to just acknowledge the event and also say thank you for being such a great partner with WM, and we're excited for more community events in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Greatly appreciate our partnership.
Jennifer Benton and Deb Banks.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It is once again May, and you know what that means. May as Bike Month is here. We are so excited about that. I, of course, have swag for y'all. Socks and a musette bag and slap bands and stickers. But before I hand it out, a second about what May as Bike Month is about. It's about getting people on their bicycle for wellness, for their health, for recreation, but more importantly for the environment. We want people to trade their car keys for a bicycle ride because most of our trips are under 5 miles. It's very easy to do by bike. And what that does is help us stay healthy, and it does wonders for the environment and the climate. And we're going to kick off everything on May 3rd with a big bicycle festival.
So Jennifer Fenton with Breathe California, Sacramento region. So we are excited to once again host the 4th annual Breathe Bike Festival here in West Sacramento. Managed to squeeze ourselves into the south end of the Bridge District. We've got a lot of activities. We're bringing a new feature this year called the Pump Track. And there will be bikes for those that are not able to bring a bike, and they can try it out. So you'll have to come out or see pictures to see how that's going. So we have over 20 community partners there to table and interact with the families that come, and just trying to normalize biking as a mode of transportation. So we are doing this all to improve air quality and lung health. So happy to kick off May as Bike Month again this year with our partners.
Thank you. And I have a proclamation for you. We're going to be going through our proclamation, so hang
One
in
last
there.
thing, I know that there's a couple of events that might be going on with in West Sacramento, in particularly coming out and looking at the Sycamore Trail Bridge that's going over We're really excited about it. And the work that's going on the Clarksburg Branch Trail, super fantastic. We're really excited about those action elements that are going to make West Sac even more walkable and bikeable. We're really thrilled. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to take, since I have a moment, I'm just going to make a plug again for the initiative that the mayor spearheaded, the Youth Climate Action Fund. We are soliciting applications for projects in West Sacramento that are driven by 15 to 24-year-olds. We have some amazing projects. I'm happy to highlight. They're highlighted on our website, but there will be a table at the Bike Festival highlighting what's been accomplished in round one. So
Thank you so
Anyway,
much.
thank you.
Awesome.
We have no additional requests to speak on this item.
Wow, thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Next, we have 3 presentations under the city manager's office, and we'll start off with the one where I see the most presence of our fine firefighters that are here who dedicate their lives, and today, you know, ran into possibly the line of fire to save a life. And greatly appreciate your dedicated service. You know, hats off to you for what you've done for our community. It is such an honor to be here in your presence, all of us. Extremely grateful. I've thought about you and pray for you. And I do pray for you every day, especially during days like this when we don't know what the outcome's going to be, you know. And I know you see a lot of painful events, and so thank you so much. And with that, this proclamation is the City of West Sacramento Council recognizing May 4th as International Firefighters Day. And we have Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Verna Sapizio Hall doing the presentation and the honor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am absolutely honored to be presenting our proclamation recognizing May 4th as International Firefighters Day. It's wonderful to see so many members of our fire family here today. Please come to the podium. As everybody is walking up, I'll share the run of show. I have a few remarks, and that's everybody to the podium. That's a direct order. So the run of show tonight, I have a few remarks, and then I'll read the proclamation. After the proclamation, we'll have 2 guest speakers, our West Sacramento Fire Chief, Steve Benz, and also President of the West Sacramento Firefighters Association, Miguel Altamirano. After our guests speak, I'll open it up to my colleagues, and then we'll come down and take a picture. So earlier this year, I had the incredible opportunity to step into the boots of a firefighter for a day through Fire Ops 101. It was presented by the California Professional Firefighters with support from firefighters all around the state, many who are in this room today, guiding lawmakers through stations showing what a day in the life of a firefighter was like. In a period of 2 hours, I was masterfully guided through several stations, and I performed CPR and administered Narcan on a dummy. I rescued a baby from a burning structure, pulled hose, I extinguished a fire, I climbed through a smoke-filled room and out a window, I dragged dummies to safety, and even scaled the fire ladder all the way to the top. Outside of labor and giving birth, it was physically most intense 2 hours of my life. I've always respected the work you've done and all of the families who stand behind you, but that day gave me an entirely new level of appreciation for each and every one of you and your strength, your courage, your skill, and dedication. And the work you do is not easy. It's incredibly complex. You respond to fires, apartment explosions, even perform aerial rescues off of causeways. You've handled airplane crashes, as the mayor mentioned today, on site for the incident we had at Summerfield Park. You're trained for water rescues on the Sacramento River. You're even part of the Sacramento Urban Search and Rescue Team that deployed to the Palisades Fire earlier this year. You truly do it all. And you're the first ones to come on scene when our community needs help, and for that, we thank you. And we thank your family, and it's wonderful to see you being here tonight. To share some stats, in 2024 alone, you responded to 772 fire calls, 6,923 calls for rescue and emergency medical services, 575 fire and smoke alarms, over 1,600 good intent calls, and another 1,600 public assistance calls. And for those following along, when you add everything up, our incredible fire department responded to almost 12,000 calls. And year over year, our call volume continues to grow. Today, we're here to honor and celebrate you and thank you for everything you do for our community. It was a privilege to partner with you on Measure O to further support the department, and I'm thrilled we get to commemorate International Firefighters Day together. So for our proclamation. In recognition of May 4th as International Firefighters Day, whereas International Firefighters Day is observed annually on May 4th to recognize the sacrifice of firefighters around the world who dedicate their lives to the protection of life, property, and the environment. And whereas the city of West Sacramento honors the memory of fire engineer Tim Hall, a beloved member of our fire department who served with distinction for 18 years as a firefighter, investigator, and volunteer with the Clarksburg Fire Protection District, and who tragically lost his life following a training exercise on September 23rd, 2024, leaving behind a profound legacy of service, courage, and commitment to his community. And whereas the men and women of the West Sacramento Fire Department exemplify valor and professionalism in their service, responding to emergencies, disasters, and medical calls with skill, courage, and compassion, by carrying forward the memory of those who have fallen in the line of duty. And whereas the city of West Sacramento extends its deepest gratitude to the members of our fire service and their families, acknowledging their daily contribution to public safety and the well-being of our community. Now, therefore be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of West Sacramento hereby recognizes May 4th, 2025 as International Firefighters Day in West Sacramento, encourages all residents to honor and thank firefighters who serve our city with unwavering dedication and bravery. Proclaim this 30th day of April, 2025. Chief Binns?
Wow. Yeah. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Steve Binns, Fire Chief. Before I get started, I would like to introduce a few people. First, I have Captain Miguel Altamirano. He's the president of the Firefighters Association. My fire marshal here somewhere. I'll hear my fire marshal, Brian Johnson. Of course, we have many members of the fire department here, both on and off duty. So if you have to get out of here, that means it's just getting a call. And I would say finally, and most importantly, Sue Hall is with us tonight. And her children. So,
And grandson,
grandson, I missed one.
Papa's boy.
Yeah, so we're still healing from last year. So I do have a few words. I'm going to do my best to get through them. First, I'd like to thank all of you for recognizing us tonight, the West Sacramento Fire Department. We truly appreciate you taking the time to recognize the hard work and professionalism and dedication of my members. The firefighters of West Sacramento take great pride in serving this community. As their fire chief, I am both proud and humbled by their unwavering commitment and integrity. Tonight's proclamation carries special significance, not just as an annual recognition, but as a deeply personal tribute to the profound loss that we all experienced last year. We lost a beloved member of our department, fire engineer Tim Hall, who tragically passed away on September 23rd, 2024 at the age of 59. Tim was more than just a colleague. He was a kind, humble, and dedicated individual who brought out the best in all of us. He served this community with pride for 18 years, and his sudden passing left a lasting void, not only within our department, but within the city. Tim's legacy, his professionalism, compassion, and tireless work ethic will continue to inspire us. He will never be forgotten. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Captain Altamirano.
Thanks, Chief. God, I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, and with Tim Hall being in the proclamation, I mean, obviously I thought long and hard about that part, and I was promising myself I was going to get choked up, and then, you know, Chief Ben's got going here, and I think he got all of us. But I couldn't say anything better about Tim than Chief Benz did. I appreciate you guys taking the time to put that recognition to him inside the proclamation. That means the world to us. It's been an incredibly challenging, not just year, but 6 months. We had our busiest year on record. While also kind of managing and trying to get through the tragedy that happened with Susan's husband, Tim, who was a respected member, friend, brother, and an outstanding firefighter. So thank you for including him in the proclamation. I can't say enough about that. I lost my train of thought in there, but I'd also kind of like to spin to some of the positive. It was an incredibly bittersweet and challenging year with that incident. However, we did see the return of Engine 45, which is an incredible morale booster for our department, which, you know, we're fighting hard to get that engine back for probably almost 15 years. So that was also an incredible accomplishment citywide between the Safer Grant and Measure L getting through. That was huge for us. So That was a big one, and while we're here, actually, I don't think we've had the opportunity to recognize some of our firefighters of the year recently, so I think I'd like to kind of include them here with the proclamation and kind of put a lively spin on it. We're actually fortunate to have two of the last three here. Captain Rick Garvey is here. He was the 2023 Firefighter of the Year. And I believe so our process for electing that, they're chosen amongst their peers. There's some nominations and we vote. So Captain Garvey was actually voted to be our Firefighter of the Year for 2023 for his heroic action on a structure fire we had on Balsam Street, where he located an incapacitated subject in a structure fire. So anyway, thank you, Captain Garvey. And then we also have Tom Bernard, that's here. Him and Chief Francisconi are also Firefighters of the Year for 2024. Chief Francisconi could not be here, but Tom is here. I can't say enough about Tom and what he's done over the last year. He's also our West Sacramento Firefighters Association Vice President. He was heavily involved in Measure O, and after Tim Hall's tragic passing, Tom actually stepped up and became a liaison to the Hall family to make sure they got what they needed.
Scone.
So anyway, big thanks to recognition of these guys, Scone and Tom Bernard. But again, I'll end there. Thank you guys for the proclamation tonight. It means the world to our department. This is my first time in my 20 years here. I think that something like this has been done. So I don't have enough words. We are incredibly grateful. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And before, I would like the council members to express a few words.
I cannot add anything more to what Verna said, except I hope you all know how much we appreciate you, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. You've come up to my house many times. You saved my husband's life 3 times. He almost died of sepsis on those 3 separate occasions. You also helped my mother when she broke her hip. You came out and you took her to the hospital. We didn't even know, and your quick action saved her. She's very, very grateful, and she's always talking about the firemen when she sees them. She goes, "I love those guys." And she just... So I want to say thank you also, because one of the things that is not on your list, you're also arborist. When my mom's trees, huge poplars, were swaying in the storms, you guys came out and you tied those trees down. We really thought they were going to fall. So for all the many roles you do, thank you so much. We're very appreciative.
It feels awkward to sit down in your presence and address you. I have a barometer for what this feels like right now. It's surreal to see you all standing here. But I also feel the immense energy and camaraderie, community, brother and sisterhood, familyhood. That's a word. It is now. You gotta be careful, because I'm a cop's wife, and tonight I'm here to highlight the heroes in red. They say that hard times don't create heroes. During the hard times, when the hero within us is revealed. I didn't make it, but I feel it. Tonight I sit in the humbly sitting in the presence of folks who out lives, spending time away from another 4 to 5 days a week around the clock to serve others. Whether or not you get the appropriate for that. But I do know that tonight we are something about courage, compassion, commitment that leaves a lasting impact. Little, and I gotta say, I will say that I think because of your presence throughout, because of the things you do for not only our but each other, and you know, this, what we're experiencing, out- I must say, like, thank you for coming tonight, family.
These guys are the best. These guys are the best. I thank God for all of them. They have been so supportive and so kind to me and my family. And Tim loved his job. He loved doing everything that he did. I mean, he was made to be a fireman. That's who he was, and he loved working in the city of Sacramento, being on the fire department. And just, I mean, everything that he did, he took it on, pride, and took it seriously. He just exemplified what a fireman should be. Some very, very good men and one woman. We got to mention Jen as well. But he loved he loved being on the fire department. Loved these guys are the best. They are my family. And thank you guys for all that you did as well when all of this started. So thank you.
Too eloquent to follow. I just thank you for allowing us pleasure sharing time with beautiful other half, that his legacy will live in the heart, lie beneath the patches that are worn every single day by this department. We are grateful that we were touched by his service. I also just want to say thank you to my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem Vernal Sulpizio, for the fire engine red dress and for bringing this before us tonight. I got to say, in all of the 9 years, I don't.
So I know I started off, but I do want to share a few more thoughts, if I may. I know it's getting a little late here. I'm grateful that you're still here and not running out to, turn out a fire or rescue somebody's life, which I see happening daily. And I know it takes a personal toll. You've all been extending yourselves just to catch up with Engine 45 and making sure that coverage is occurring, taking less time with your family, more time service to the community, and hearing that engine has had some significant use ever since it got installed and reinstated back. And I will say that you have changed each and every one of us here. You, with your passion, with your drive, with your dedication. This presentation of the proclamation didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in a year. It happened over the years, many years of determination. There was a lot behind that sentiment when you had pushed to return that engine, and it was because you saw the need in our community. You see the rising demand. You know what it takes to have all of the equipment, the resources, the training, the technology to deliver what you do best, which is save lives, protect our homes, rescue us from a car accident, help our family members when they're sick in their homes. You see that every day. And I have had the honor to go on a few, ride-alongs with you. I've had the honor to be able to go after a stormy night when you were the ones cutting down those trees, clearing the roads, trying to unplug some flooded streets in your wet boots. You were the ones in our entire city, including our police department, who carry a huge toll in your minds, in your hearts, And I want you to continue to push this city, this council, to continue to deliver the best. So once again, this proclamation didn't come overnight, didn't come in a week, a month, the last year. It's from the years of dedication, and I don't want you to lose 1 ounce of that perseverance, because I have seen it, respect it, honor it, and elevate it today and always. Because all of you guys, yes, family and everything that everybody has said here is all relevant and important. And Mrs. Hull, the ultimate sacrifice is the life of one of our own on the line of duty. And that's what we know is the most painful and tragic in our hearts that we will all carry. And to your family, it is such a loss that we will carry. And I am very grateful for his service and just really sorry. But grateful for all of you to be here to support you each and every day. Thank you for what you do to support the whole family. The whole family has been there for you. Each of your wives and your children support one another when you're off duty and even on duty sometimes visiting. And that's what you are, family. And that's what you carry out when you go out and see somebody to support. You see family. So thank you. And I want to give a round of applause for your dedication and service. Going to move around the agenda a little bit. Next is a proclamation of the City of West Sacramento Council recognizing May 1st as the big day of giving. And we have Miss Jessica Hubbard, Executive Director of the Yolo County Foundation. Please come on up, and then we're going to have Councilmember Norma Alcala read the proclamation, and then we'll come down and take a photo. And if anybody would like to, before we go down, would like to express any foundation or any, anything that you would like to recognize as far as a nonprofit. Councilmember Alcala.
I will start. Big Day of Giving, recognizing May 1st. It's the big day of giving. Whereas the Sacramento Region Community Foundation, a trusted resource for contributing to local and regional organizations, will host the 13th Annual Giving Day on May 1st, 2025, in partnership with local and regional businesses and community leaders throughout the four-county Sacramento region to encourage charitable giving. And whereas over the past 12 years, more than 60,000 people in our region have donated on Big Day of Giving, raising nearly $104 million that local nonprofits have used to improve the quality of life in our region. And whereas this city, over 820 nonprofits will participate in the Big Day of Giving, 11 of which are located in the city of West Sacramento and serve its residents. And whereas the Big Day of Giving is an opportunity for the city of West Sacramento residents to show their community pride through supporting the good work of our local nonprofits. And whereas philanthropic, I can never pronounce that word. Yes, thank you. Philanthropic, thank you. Oh boy, that was a tough one. Whereas philanthropic investments have helped hardworking nonprofits make an impact on the causes that affect us all and provides donors with a sense of ownership and pride in their community. Now, therefore, the City of West Sacramento City Council does hereby proclaim May 1st, 2025 as Big Day of Giving and encourages all residents to support the work of local nonprofit organizations who help the City of West Sacramento community thrive. Proclaimed the 30th day of April, 2025. I'd like to say a few words.
Thank you so much for having us here tonight. My name is Jessica Hubbard. I'm the Executive Director of the Yolo Community Foundation. I'm joined tonight by one of our board members, Matt Yancey, who is a resident of West Sacramento and the husband of a former employee of the City of West Sacramento. But I wanted to say such a tremendous thank you to the City Council for honoring the local nonprofit sector and for supporting the work of your West Sacramento nonprofits and the nonprofits throughout the region. We are really lucky here in Yolo County that our local government, our Board of Supervisors, our City Councils, I think are uniquely invested and uniquely value our local nonprofit sector. I think that's for two reasons. One, in Yolo County, we're a community of doers. People really roll up their sleeves and get work done here. And that is really sort of the ethos of the nonprofit sector. And the second reason is looking at the five of you, I couldn't begin to add up the number of hours that you spent as nonprofit employees, board members, volunteers. So you really get what this work is about and how important it is in our community. These are trying times for nonprofits. We're going through a period where we may be substantially shifting the way that nonprofit work gets funded or doesn't get funded. And the economic ripples of current instability are impacting every single revenue stream that allow our nonprofits to do their important work in the community. So one way that we as a community can show our values and to show what we value is by supporting our local nonprofits on Big Day of Giving tomorrow, but also throughout the year. So this Big Day of Giving, the Yolo Community Foundation's call to action to our community is to learn, share, and give. So learn about local nonprofits, what they need from us, and the important work they do in our community. One way to do that is through our annual State of the Yolo Nonprofit Sector report. We released our 5th annual report just about a month ago. It's on our website at yolocf.org. Share about the valuable work that our nonprofits do in the community. There are 1 million posts on social media you can find right now from all the nonprofits you support about their impact. And then give tomorrow on Big Day of Giving, but give throughout the year so that our nonprofits can continue to serve our community and make this such a wonderful place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Council members, would you like to share any thoughts? Yes.
Okay. So I run a nonprofit, and there are, I will say in West Sacramento, actually, there is a gap in regards to the nonprofits that are here in our city that help, quite honestly, where government sometimes can't do the job, doesn't have the capacity, whatever the case may be, isn't rooted in the same way that our nonprofits are rooted in the community. And I think, as you pointed out, that right now, it is a hard time to run a nonprofit. It is a hard time to be in the business of helping vulnerable communities. And what I will say is that nonprofits are not going to be able to survive without us choosing to invest our dollars to help them. And they are doing very, very important work. And I personally have a fear that the things that our community depends on, the things that maybe sometimes we take for granted, that nonprofits are filling the gap because they are passionate and committed to helping those who are most vulnerable, will not be there anymore. And when we look up, it will be too late to be able to fill those gaps and build that back up. And so what I would ask is that you give of your time, that you give of your treasure, and that you give locally, because West Sac needs it. And if you live here, you know that we take care of our own. And right now, our own needs help.
Thank you. I was going to say, for the current political situation, we see a lot of services being cut, vital service, children or elderly, working families. And you guys are the great safety net there. So thank you very much for everything that you're doing. And just very grateful for the people in West Sacramento and the region that they have you there. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you for being here tonight. Nice to see you. I've spent most of my career in nonprofit work, and nonprofit employees give so much of themselves to this type of work. And I think the theme I've heard from my colleagues who are still in the industry is uncertainty. And that's a very hard place to be as a nonprofit leader, as an employee. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge the employees who are working so hard behind the scenes to provide these incredible services. Every year I put on my council member social media page all of the West Sac nonprofits, or all of the nonprofits that support West Sacramento residents. I list them out, and I think I listed 17 organizations this year, from Chalk It Up, the Yellow Crisis Nursery, Yellow Farm to Fork, Food Bank, which we know is in need of additional funding. And just to echo my colleagues' statements about giving locally. And if you can give a lot, give a lot. If you can give a little, give a little. A lot of Golden One, I think it's Golden One, is matching donations, whether it's $5, $25, $100, anything you can give. And so I appreciate all the work that is done to support Big Day of Giving and make this such a fun opportunity to give. And I love seeing social media posts about everybody sharing where they're giving. And it's wonderful when I see organizations from West Sac pop up on my screen. And so thank you for being tonight, accept the proclamation, and thank you for just encouraging so much wonderful giving in our county.
Saying, and I'll keep it as short as I can. Thank you so much. You are so eloquent, fantastic foundation, and I've seen you amazing work in West Sacramento and throughout the region. I got to say, I echo the sentiment from my colleagues. We have CEO of the United States sitting to my left. We all collectively have probably 25 T-shirts from different organizations and things that we have. You can't get rid of them. They're fantastic, right? But I think that, I'm gonna mention my ex-colleague, former council member Babs Dean. If she couldn't pick, so she'd say, okay, you know what, 25 each. And to the extent that $25, when we collectively do something that we can make tremendous impact on someone's life, or a whole life, or a child in our community. And so I just call up friends and let's do a little friend challenge. And even if it's $10 per organization, or $100 for your favorite, there's no time that's more now. So thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you.
And I'm last here, Jessica. There are so many nonprofit organizations that have truly benefited from your support from the organization that you have held up. I know it was a collective effort in the region. That collective effort, did not forecast what we are experiencing today. I have to say that this county is probably better equipped to withstand some major challenges, continue to get the word out, as we are all here asking for contributions to organizations as Sacramento City Council members here, organizations that are here, but also organizations that, come from the region. YOLO Food Bank is one of them, where the biggest hit came from a big federal cut. Some have relied on federal funding to be able to stand in and support, since COVID has been very difficult for people to recover, and not just recover from getting sick, but recovering economically speaking. It's really set people back. So with that, on top of that, other organizations that are here that you work with, and we're very grateful that they are sustained. But we do, I know with Babs, I'm hoping she gives $50 to every single one of them this time around, because that's what it's going to take. For all of us, we're going to have to double the amount that we have been contributing in the past because of the incredible losses they'll be experiencing from the federal level. I'll be going, well, I think everybody's going to cap, advocating and pushing for the protection of, serving our most vulnerable population, which here in West Sacramento, we have, if people do not know, it's called economically disadvantaged population is the biggest here in West Sacramento, and that is 20% compared to 12% statewide. We have 20% here in West Sacramento. And the disadvantaged means economically, just lower wages, health, environmental factors. All those factors are weighing down on our residents, and we need to do everything we can to lift them up during their time of need and to do more creative things that we can do to work together with you, because I don't think the end is near. It's a long road ahead of us, so we have to start working on being more creative as a city and contributing. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll go down for a photo. Speaking of nonprofits, we have Kirsten Rohr, representing the Sacramento Area Bicycle community here to receive the proclamation of the City Council recognizing May as Bike Month. And where I'm going to read this. Oh my goodness, you brought a prop. May is Bike Month, whereas millions of Americans engage in bicycling because it is an effective form of exercise, viable and environmentally sound mode of transportation, and a fun, sociable activity accessible to people of all ages, fitness levels, and incomes. Oh my goodness! And whereas more than half of commute trips and 3 out of 4 shopping trips are under 5 miles in length, which is ideal for bicycling, and whereas bicycle transportation is an essential part of the planned multimodal transportation system funded by federal, state, regional, and local agencies, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve the livability of communities by reducing traffic noise and congestion, and boost public transit ridership by encouraging riders to traverse the last mile between stations and destination. And whereas the City of West Sacramento has completed key investments in support of bicycling, including the Riverwalk, the Washington District Sustainable Community Infrastructure Project, the Barge Canal, West Capitol Avenue separated bike lanes, and Sycamore Trail Phase 1. And whereas the City of West Sacramento is actively advancing several major active transportation projects, including the design and future construction of the Clarksburg Branch Line Trail Extension and ongoing development of the Sycamore Trail and Freeway Overpass, coming soon, everybody. The I Street Bridge deck conversion, now in design phase, that's coming soon too. The Southport Levee Trail, currently under development, and the Port Area Infrastructure and Complete Streets project progressing through design and environmental review. And whereas the local bicycle commute promotions, often referred to as Bike to Work Days, Energizer stations, have successfully encouraged bicycle commuting. And whereas May is Bike Month, thankfully, helps to increase public awareness of bicycling, educates the community about the benefits of cycling for transportation, and encourages people to try commuting by bike. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of West Sacramento does hereby recognize May 2025 as May is Bike Month. Kirsten, take it away.
Thank you so much. I am truly honored to stand here once again to receive this proclamation on behalf of Sacramento area bicycle advocates and the greater Sacramento cycling community, of which I'm honored to be a part of. West Sacramento continues to set the standard of a premier cycling destination with cyclists regularly traveling here from the entire Sacramento Valley to ride its public green spaces, accessible levees, and incredible cycling infrastructure, both existing and planned. Always remember, build it and preserve it, and we will come. I believe that this proclamation exemplifies the City of West Sacramento's commitment to making our community a great place to choose a bike for transportation and recreation, which remains a huge priority and desire for Americans of all ages. I would like to thank especially Mayor Guerrero and the assembled council members for supporting projects and policy that enables our residents to choose a bike from the many options that they have for getting around our area. I would also like to extend heartfelt thanks to our city staff, California Highway Patrol, West Sac Police Department, Fire Department, Yolo County leaders and staff. Without your combined efforts, cycling is difficult at best and deadly at worst. You all create spaces and standards for kids to have unforgettable childhoods and adults to have healthy, enriching lives that don't break the bank. You should all be forever proud of all of that, and we are proud of you and the values that guide your work. I would also like to give a huge thanks to SABA's Executive Director, Deb Banks, who works amazingly hard to make all of this happen for the Sacramento Valley. And we do encourage all in attendance today to attend the May is Bike Month kickoff event in the River District this weekend, and to register for mayisbikemonth.com and log the miles that you ride and the trips you take. There's great praises to be had, and love it if you can get out there and show the City of Sacramento staff, what you're made of this year. And please do think of Sacramento area bicycle advocates tomorrow for a big day of giving as well. And all of your work really makes me proud to have the opportunity to raise my son in this city.
That's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pearson. Anybody like to share a few comments? How much you love bicycle riding?
I just have one. I
Yes.
have one thing. Thank you for being here tonight, and this might be the cutest proclamation recipient we've ever had. Congratulations, wonderful. I've always loved May. My birthday's in May. May is Bike Month. My son will be he'll be 5 in May, and he doesn't watch the city council meeting, so I can share this. We're gonna buy him his first official bike this month. So if you have any recommendations on the type of bike we need to buy, one of the first things we did, we put him on a no wheels bike, Strider, and just to see his confidence and just excitement to get out fast and go at such a young age was just so incredibly special. And which is encouraging biking in our community. It's something the council supports. We just love celebrating May is Bike Month. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is I'm hosting, hopefully you're proud of me, but I'm hosting my second annual May is Bike Month bike party. And so for folks, sounds fun, right? So for folks who are interested in joining on Sunday, May 18th, we'll be meeting at the Pheasant Club at 8:30 in the morning, and we'll be doing a ride. Mostly it's District 4, but we're going to stop. We're going to hear a little bit about the Pheasant Club project. We're going to do the Clarksburg Trail, talk about improvements there, talk about the levee, swing by Station 45, and then end at Streets of London. So it's going to be a really fun morning for anybody who wants to join us and celebrate May is Bike Month. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've been told you can't hear me, but I just want to say thank you. I echo the sentiment. He is the cutest recipient we've ever met. You know, over the last 9 years, I have been so grateful for the opportunity to sit on this council, make decisions that impact bicyclists and walkers in our city. We have unilaterally changed the complexion. We've extended the Clarksburg Branch Line Trail. We have connected the Riverfront Trail. We are working on the Sycamore Trail overpass and extending it. That overpass is going to be open, will allow children from all around our city to connect over the highway where they always have been disconnected. In addition, we are talking about the 5th Street widening project, which I remember traveling with my caboose of children because we have 4 and they all wanted to ride the bike. And that was, you know, very, very unsafe at one point. It is no longer. And now I'm just really excited about the prospect of really inviting folks to get on their bikes and taking the safe path downtown to get to their destination. So, you know, I gotta say, thank you for your advocacy, because ultimately our community could only become healthier, our air can become cleaner, our lungs stronger, our bodies healthier, and our children will understand the value of what it means to actually go out there and be a part of a community when we're outside of our cars. So Kirsten, you are a vehement advocate for what it is you do, and I'm glad that you're raising another.
And just to add, Kirsten, I just want to say thank you for training my little grandson. There is, children with special needs do need additional support, and you gave him a lot of confidence. Where hours after that training, he was spent time riding his bike. He fell, but he said, "It didn't hurt, Grandma." I got up, right up, and I continued. And it just shows that, I just like you are going to fall. That happens to all of us. But we get right back up. And you gave him that confidence. So we got to, you have that bike bus going on and ready to expand it in other schools, and hoping to see that happen. And thank you so much for participating in the Youth Climate Action Fund program. Greatly appreciate Saba's participation, and Jennifer for your contribution to our community to make this happen, so that we can be, a more climate-friendly community. So thank you so much. And with that, we'll go down for the proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, next is our consent agenda, items 5 through 13. Are there any requests to remove an item for questions or presentations by our administration?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull 12.
Okay. Anything else? All right, I would like to pull 5, 6, 8, 10, and 11, but we're going to start with 12. And, all right, thank you. And with that, oh, I see. Caitlin Montes, let's see, what would you like to do with?
Yeah, I was going to pull this with a question, but I think I'll just make a comment, and you're welcome to stand up here. I'm really happy and proud to be here tonight to support this contract. It's really more than an agreement, and it's a real signal of where West Sac's headed and the kind of city that we're becoming. When we campaigned for Measure O, and I'd like to acknowledge Sergeant Brazier, who's in the room, who stood beside me during our community outreach, we talked a lot about our commitment to public safety, and we shared our vision for building a destination police department. And tonight, we're taking a big step in making that vision a reality, and by raising the salaries of our police officers to the highest paid in the region. Measure O is enabling us to do a lot of this contract, adding 13 new officers, new police vehicles, new equipment, the list goes on. But I really want to thank the Police Officers Association for being strong partners in moving our city forward. Measure O took a lot of work, weekly meetings, door knocking, community events, all to share a dream of something better for West Sac. Tonight we're making, and tonight we're seeing the dream start. So thank you. Congratulations.
All right, and I would like to add, this has been, just a great opportunity for us to be able to chat amongst ourselves when we prepare, the salary. It's a negotiation directly from our negotiator, who we don't interact with directly with POA, but we do have an understanding of what it is their needs are, and I would like to just continue to leave an open door to make sure, because Measure O is as a result of trying to maintain a police force. The retention has been an ongoing problem. We have been able to hire, recruit, but to retain is another story here altogether. And I think, whatever we can do to continue, this is an experiment that we made a modification on the retention aspect of it. And I'd like to make sure we have a line of communication that you inform us whether this is effective and if we need to make some changes. So with that, Lieutenant Brazier, please share your thoughts, or Sergeant Brazier, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I formally wanted to come in here and take this opportunity in a very open public forum to thank you all for your commitment to the West Sacramento Police Officers Association. This contract and previous years have spoke very highly about where we're going as a community as a whole. But I'd also like to take the time to thank city staff and for the time that they put into it. These can be very arduous, and with the back and forth that's in it and the commitment that is there on both sides, can't go without their recognition for the work that they put in. So I know that there is a plan in place. It's amazing to see that we are having 13 new positions added to our department. It's the largest number that's happened in the last 20 years or the inception of this city since it's been conceived. And we're excited for that. It does bring on a new challenge of getting 13 highly qualified people to come in and continue to provide service to this city, which they've come to expect and deserve for their extra contribution through Measure O. So with that, I'd like to say thank you all very much for your hours.
Thank you so much, Sergeant Brazier, and please, convey that we greatly, deeply appreciate your police officers and stand behind the support of what we are about to take action, and to make sure that passes on, demonstrating our support for them. I also, and Chief, I also and stand in support, not only for this, but with actions we took under Measure O. There has been, as you've seen tonight, a demand for police presence in our community, an increase in crime. And whatever we can do to improve our recruitment, I'm all behind it. to make sure that we have experienced officers. This raise is to make sure that we get experienced officers, that we retain our police officers. And sometimes it doesn't take a salary increase. Sometimes there's something else administratively we can possibly do, a restructuring or something, I don't know. But whatever it takes, because for incidents like today, it takes swift action to continue to protect our community, to continue to ensure that our community is safe, feels safe, be responsive. We will definitely have a review of the actions that happened near school settings around the time that children were going home to school. Could have stopped. My grandson would always ask me, can I stop by the park and play after school? And so the day before, my daughter walked by that park at that very, yesterday, at that very same time. And what the thought that goes through our minds is, what would have happened if I were there? Police presence is incredibly important in our city. It's to deter crime. It's not to be arresting everybody all the time, but it's to deter crime. It's a great deterrence. So whatever we can do to expedite and hire and fill the vacancies and fill them with people that officers and dedicated personnel to our community, please, let's make sure, you inform us whatever needs to get done to achieve that. I think we've made some changes so that we can streamline some hiring processes. And I'm just going to continue to pray that we can hire the police officers needed, and also support our Washington Unified School District, as I had a meeting with them, and taking a look at what their needs are through this process, so that, this is going to be the same, amount of money that, that we are going to have to inform the school district that we are incurring a raise, and a plan. And whatever it is, of the level of experience they like to have, they need to meet the financial, support, and carry that support all along for the need of their school. So just want to make sure I convey that as well. And, thank you so much. Any other questions among the council members? No? Okay. Thank you. Item number 5. The approval of commercial lease for 2288 Del Monte Street. Hello. Mr. Arnold, how are you?
I am well.
Good.
And I'm proud to be standing before you to bring this item to you. I think it goes to the work that you as the council, mayor, and members have done to make this community a place where people want to come and do business.
I hope
and
so.
so this is a revenue-producing lease, 5 years with Civil Pacific. It's a good company, and I'm proud to be able to bring this before you.
Thank you. And I appreciate, I do see that they're the first year, there is no.
It's an abatement. Yes, there's no rent the first year because if you had saw what that building looked like when it went on the market, we thought it was going to take some inducement to get the kind of rents that it would take. And so that's why I'm really proud that these folks took a step, and they've been working with us. We've cleaned the building up pretty good. And I think when you see that it opens probably in the next month or two, it's going to be someplace proud for people to be able to come and represent. It's really been cleaned up and it looks good.
Okay. And then the type of, let's see, this is going to be with the tenant. What does this tenant do? What kind of materials, or what kind of, is there going to be trucks? What type of activity is this?
So it's going to be primarily one of their, they're a demolition company, and they work throughout the area. In fact, they moved from Sacramento to West Sacramento, and it's a 12,000 square foot building. So they will be parking some of their trucks in the building itself, and then part of the building will also be used for material that they use, not only in demolishing, but actually reconditioning some buildings as well. So it's basically a construction company, demolition.
Okay, so is there a CEQA requirement at all for, during the process?
No. The amount of work that they're doing is primarily just paint.
Okay, paint. Oh, okay.
Paint and flooring.
Paint
There's
and
nothing.
flooring.
There's
Okay.
no real remodeling of the building as such that has to be done. The building is basically staying intact the way it is. In fact, We've been looking at their plans that they're doing to pull their HVAC and
Okay.
other permits that they need, which they will do subsequent to having the council approve the
Okay.
lease. Then they will start pulling their permits to do some of the work. But the work that there's no remodeling of the building
No
per
remodeling.
se.
And how long will it take for them, so once they do that work, to move in?
Oh, it's a month.
A month?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Mayor, just in terms of the use itself, it's a
Right.
principally permitted use in zoning, so that would
Oh, I
also
see,
be a reason
okay.
there's no
Okay.
environmental requirement.
thank you. All right, I think I might have some questions on another item, and you might have to come back, I'm not sure.
Sure.
But, see, okay, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mr. Arnold. Next is agenda item 6, and that's the same, I have pretty much the same questions. We have Security Paving Company. Oh, okay, it is you again, Mr. Arnold, okay.
This is our second.
Security, what does Security Paving Company do?
It's an aggregate-based company. They basically gravel, AC, rocks, and so forth for paving and for crushed gravel on walkways and things like that. That's what they're an aggregate storage company. So they will be storing and moving and shipping aggregate out of the Stone Locks facility.
Okay,
And just to add to that, so there is another advantage to this particular lease. I think you all are familiar with this property. It's a very vulnerable property when it comes to trespassing and, trying to keep it in a state of good repair. Having a presence on this site, in this case with a tenant, gives us an element of security that we don't have today. You may recall when the flood project was going in Southport, we had a similar lease at this site, and the amount of issues we had while we had a tenant on site were far less than when it's vacant. So that's another reason for this particular lease.
okay. So for the monthly compensation of $3,000?
That's raw land.
Raw
So
land.
there's no real,
Okay,
it's plottage. They're renting part of the land there to store their aggregate.
I see, okay. And there's no residential around them at this point, so it's
No, it's our Stone Locks facility, which is
Stone Locks.
master planned and zoned for a future park.
Okay.
But it has a long way to go to get there. There's a lot of work to be done, but we're trying to preserve that site so that when it is ready to be activated as a park site, that it'll be ready to go.
Okay, good to know. So we'll be able to, so if there's a point in time, I know it's not anytime soon, we have a long
So it
way to
has,
go.
the reason, it's a one-year lease, and then following that lease, we're working with the flood control department that's working with the Army Corps of Engineer to put logs on the barge canal itself. So there's some major construction that's going to occur around 26, 27. So that's why they're only going 1 year. They want more than 1 year, but we have to have that construction done by the Army Corps of Engineer on the Stone Locks. Locks itself has to be stop logs so that it doesn't present a flood condition.
I see.
And that's about a year's worth of work, 2 years worth of work that has to be done. After that, it would be safe to maybe begin leasing again should they propose that opportunity to do so. But
Okay,
I think it's worth clarifying for those that may be thinking Stone Lock means that we refer to the Stone Lock property as also the very large vacant property that is next to residential neighborhoods.
yeah.
This is on the Locks facility itself. So it's the vacant, abandoned lock that is our liability, frankly, and this puts a tenant in there that can have eyes on it. There are no immediate neighbors other than other, kind of similar uses. There's a trucking company to the north, but there's no residential properties in the immediate vicinity of it. It's not on the large vacant property to the south of it at all.
So for them to be there longer, we need to fortify it from, prevent, a flooding, and who would pay for that?
well, that's the Army Corps of Engineers
That-
doing that work through our flood control
Okay.
folks, but it's the Army Corps of Engineers that's doing the work.
Well, and also, just to be clear, this is a temporary lease for the purposes I described. The much longer-term plan is for this to be a recreation facility that is surrounded by mixed-use development, and that's what Fred's talking about, is a longer-term process that involves flood protection improvements,
see.
but also
Okay.
roadway improvements and infrastructure, and this is purely a temporary use.
Okay, very good, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is agenda item 8, Madam Clerk, did we have any speakers for the other agenda items that we just went over?
No, ma'am, but we do have a request to speak for item number 8.
Okay. I just pretty much wanted to open up for public comment. Thank you so much, Daniel. I think that's pretty much for public comment at this time for agenda item 8.
Robin Davis?
Thank you. I'm Robin, and I live in my 160 square foot semi-off-grid tiny home on wheels on my undeveloped residential property here in West Sacramento, and I support and consent to this agenda item. Thank you all. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to just move forward in this process. So hopefully we move this forward. And then I lastly wanted to thank David Tilley and Daniel Bruman for all their work on this over the years since 2020. And we have our own proclamation, and we actually have, since David's not here, this for Daniel, and it's Most Inclusive City Planner of 2025, awarded by the West Sac Tiny Home Advocate. So this is for you.
So cute.
And that's all.
Okay, well, I do have a question for you, Robin, really quick. Can you tell me a little more about the tiny home on wheels nationwide?
Nationwide. I've talked to many people about it. I mean, I know a lot of other advocates nationwide that are moving this forward in other states. It's really about the states that want to move it forward, and we're hoping to do that in California. We're kind of moving this forward at the state level, hopefully. Nationwide, it's accepted in several other states, North Carolina and Oregon and things like that. But yeah, we're hoping to bring this statewide to California, hopefully soon, with West Sac leading the way.
West Sac leading the way.
Yep. The first in the region. So
the first.
Pretty cool.
Excellent.
You know, we'll see.
We'll see.
Tonight.
Of course. Well, we could thank the council for taking the time to craft with staff support to make sure it gets done right. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, next is item number 10. Mark. So we have amending the book of fees to update the urban infill impact fee reduction program to include Southport Industrial Park and Seaway properties. So could you just provide a brief background about the area that this is going to cover, and if there are any projects that are planned in the future, just that?
Sure.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm Mark Polhemus, the city's Community Investment Manager. So a little background before going into that. The Impact Fee Reduction Program, it is something that we had adopted that we presented last year, 2024. At the time, the intent was to cover the EIFD areas as well as all the northern portions of the city. At the time, we did not include SIP, the Southport Industrial Park, and Seaway, though they are in the EIFD. Those two areas, they have previously adopted negotiated impact fee reduction programs. Those are set to expire 2026, and they're also complex in that they're via development agreement, and also in some cases, not all those properties are subject to those negotiated impact fees that already had that prior reduction. So at the time, we didn't understand quite of its complexities. So we decided not to include it in this reduction program last year. But in working with finance, working with community development, understanding that this doesn't apply to every single parcel within those areas, we decided to extend the previously adopted impact fee reduction program to these areas, as was initially intended on the 2023 and 2024 strategic plan.
Okay. That's very helpful.
Yes. So right now, there's a couple planned projects in those areas, one of which is an expansion of Nippon Shokin in Southport Industrial Park. So, obviously we want to incentivize these high-wage, these great jobs for our city and for our region. And so this is, projects like that are an impetus to extend that reduction program to these areas.
Thank you. I think Nippon Shokin has been a great partner with the city and working diligently to expand their footprint here in West Sacramento. A food hub, I think that is what I've noticed to benefit. It costs a lot of money to run those companies with the energy, whatever chemicals and elements they need. And you guys have all been doing a great job. And thank you for bringing this, and you for your expertise in developing this proposal. The impact fees and the infill impact fees has been a huge game changer for what we have to offer here in West Sacramento. So greatly appreciate it.
Just want to clarify that these are the reductions to these are temporary until new nexus studies are adopted, in which fees are updated through that process. As each fee will be adopted, we'll go through feasibility testing to make sure that whatever is proposed doesn't become a financial barrier, financial burden to newly proposed, newly developed projects. So that timeline we have by state legislation until 2028 to get these nexus studies updated based on some recently adopted state legislation regarding impact fees. So it's not like a perpetual, it's not something that's going to be forever. It is until that time that all these fees are updated through the nexus study process.
And I appreciate the local control, annoyed with some legislative proposals that impose impact fee reductions across the board without really understanding the benefit of them. And sometimes people will believe that an impact fee, reducing it, takes away from infrastructure costs and other things like that. In any studies, have you seen that to be the case?
So what you're asking is, do reducing fees have an impact on reducing costs for projects, or does
Reducing,
it have
not costs, but if there, we may be saying the same thing, but if there is a need for like maintaining the roads, just things like that. Okay.
So the challenge at times with impact fees is their intent is to pay for the infrastructure that serves new development. But if you have fees that are too high and cannot, that disallows new development to happen, you're not collecting money at all. So you're sitting stagnant. And by us being able to do this, we gained revenues through other means, through our property tax generation, through future sales tax generation, and the like. So it's a long-term game in this short benefit.
Thank you so much for that explanation. All right, any other questions among the council members? No? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it. I don't know if you're item 11. Let's see who's item 11.
Hello
You
again.
are. Okay. All right. So consideration of affordable housing and sustainable communities partnership agreement and related actions for the Grand Gateway Affordable Housing Development and select active transportation and transit improvements. Just a little bit of background about that.
Sure. So as you are aware, we've been in exclusive negotiating agreement for the future redevelopment of Grand Gateway. Proposed there is 455 residential units, 114 affordable units, ground floor retail, a hotel, structured parking. This is all on city-owned land. In addition, so concurrently, we're continuing efforts working with SAC-RT and also with SAC-RT on the streetcar extension, light rail extension, the streetcar project, West Sacramento. The state of California Strategic Growth Council, they have a grant program called the Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Grant. City was a recipient of that grant in its first round around 2014, which was a big funding mechanism for us to be able to complete the West Gateway Place Phase 1 project, in addition to other bike ped improvements in their area. So SACRT approached the city of West Sacramento. We've been working with transportation planning, and what they identified is that this AHSC grant is an opportunity to help close the funding gap on light rail on the streetcar project to West Sacramento. Happens to be within the boundary of what a project may be considered for that grant program. And so we then moved forward in partnering with SACRT and with our partnership with the Affordable Housing Development Team on Grand Gateway to pursue this grant project. So through this grant project, we're going to be requesting approximately $25 million to help support the affordable housing development, roughly over $8 million for acquiring light rail vehicles for streetcar, in addition to several bike ped improvements throughout the city of West Sacramento that are close to that development site.
That's excellent.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark. Greatly appreciate the presentation. And on the affordable, so that is just to help.
Yes, and so in order to apply for that grant, there are several options and several application options. The option we're choosing is to have the development team be the lead applicant, and the city would be a partner and would have to enter into a partnership agreement with that development team to demonstrate that we have some improvements that we have lined up, the bike and ped improvements, demonstrating our experience that we have constructed or implemented similarly scaled improvements, and then also committing to doing those improvements if awarded that grant. So the projects that are in this report are those that we've included in our, that we are including in our grant application, which is due May 28th. And so the action taken tonight and the related actions are all to advance our application for that grant program, in which we're seeking about $40 million.
Okay, that's very helpful. And we look forward to seeing the fruition of this project. I know it was a heavy lift to see this happen because of the incredible number of people that we see growing that are unhoused, and we've been housing incrementally along West Capitol Avenue. But all the resources that are being pulled together to see this project come to fruition is monumental for us to make it an ideal venue for those that are currently residing, that we are planning on transitioning into, and those that we'd like to continue to see thrive. So having job opportunities, experience, and access to jobs, as we see, this can help them, provide that additional support. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mark, for working on this.
Thank you.
Any other questions among council members? Housing? No? All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I will accept a motion to approve.
Early seconds.
All right. Madam Clerk, Councilmember Alcala moved and Councilmember Early seconded. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Acala?
Aye.
Councilmember Early?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Hall?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. All right. I will, next is our regular agenda item. Under item 14, Economic Development and Housing is consideration of approval of purchase, sale, and development agreement with the Ramcor Development LLC for development and use of the Club Pheasant property. And our director, Tracy Michael, will do a presentation on this. Do you have a presentation?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I'll wait for Jennifer to pull that up. And while she's doing that, I'll just say good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm really pleased after several years to be in front of you this evening with the terms of a purchase, sale, and development agreement with Ramcor Dev for the Club Pheasant property for your consideration. Jennifer is down. There we go. Okay, thank you. All right, just a little bit of background over the past few years and on the site. So the property is located 2525 Jefferson Boulevard at the intersection of Lake Washington Boulevard and Jefferson. It's a little over 2 acres in size, and the historic use is a 9,000 square foot restaurant building, the Club Pheasant. Back in 2022, we received news that the Palmadesi family, after almost 90 years of owning and operating Club Pheasant, were retiring and selling their property. Shortly thereafter, the property was under contract with another purchaser, Ridge Capital. To prevent complete demolition of the building and a likely redevelopment of the site for permitted but less desirable uses, the city explored the possibility of acquiring the property through the assignment of Ridge Capital's purchase agreement. In November, City Council approved the assignment and acquisition of the Club Pheasant property, and in December of that year, we closed escrow. In 2023, Council adopted Resolution 23-33, which declared the property as surplus land. We then spent several months completing the state Surplus Land Act requirements. Once that process was complete, the city contracted with Turton Commercial Real Estate to help us market the site. In 2024, Turton, in partnership with the city, issued a request for offers for the property. Included in that offer was language specifying the city's vision for the site, which includes having the property continue on as a hospitality site in perpetuity, offering quality dining and gathering space for the community as it has been since 1935. Purchase offers and concept proposals were received in late March, and in May, the city selected Ramcor Dev LLC as the preferred developer for the site, and the city and Ramcor Dev entered into an exclusive negotiation agreement. Earlier this year, in February, staff provided a project update to council as part of their strategic planning session, where council provided input on the design and project concept. At that time, they also directed staff to secure a storefront space to support local businesses participating in the project. The item before you this evening reflects several months of collaborative negotiations, business terms that achieve the council's goal of providing the community new dining and gathering opportunities, at the same time honoring the historic legacy that Club Pheasant holds for our community. This is also a project that provides multiple benefits for the city, including job creation, long-term revenue generation, and carving out a space to ensure our local businesses have an opportunity to participate in this exciting project. The development team is Ramcor Dev LLC. It's made up of local developers that have roots in West Sacramento. They have a track record of successful projects. There are many listed here. And the managing partners are Dan Ramos, Mark Cordano, and Simon and Henry DeVere White. The project concept, as currently designed, includes preservation of portions of the original two-story building footprint and features. What's reflected here on this slide is the site plan, and the area highlighted in the dashed red box represents where the original two-story building is today. Facade elements such as windows, signage, and the monument wall that we all recognize are anticipated to be incorporated into the project. This project will provide more than double the amount of square footage than the original Club Pheasant restaurant, with 19,900 square feet of new retail space. That will take place over 3 separate retail pads, one of which is an expanded version of the location of the current Club Pheasant restaurant, and 2 additional pads. There's approximately 10,000 square feet of outdoor patio space, and consistent with the original 2-story building, a second level is proposed to include 2,000 square feet targeted for complementary uses, including a potential spa or office space. The project design pays homage to the sites and our community's agricultural history, incorporating a modern Napa farmhouse design aesthetic. Integrated patios, plazas, and fire pits offer multiple outdoor gathering spaces, and even the parking lot has been designed with outdoor programming in mind, where a portion of it can be closed off to extend programming for concerts, for craft fairs, for any type of special events that the community is interested in having there. The development team has a long history of working with established popular restaurants in our region, and because of this, they were able to propose a strong tenant lineup from the start. I would like to mention attachment 1 does have a project description and all of the full project concept renderings for your review. The tenant mix includes Temple Coffee, Jack's Urban Eats. We actually have one of the owners from Jack's here whose family is from West Sacramento. We have, yes, an Italian bistro. We have the Club Pheasant Bar, which is a new concept that will celebrate the history of the Club Pheasant property and the business in partnership with the Palmadesi family. And I will let the development team speak to that a little bit more. We will have our city storefront space, which I'll also touch on in a bit. And then there are going to be, based on the layout of the site, additional opportunities for business through pop-ups to also participate in the project. The general business terms are included in your agenda report. I've highlighted the major ones here, which include a purchase price of the property for $1.5 million. We also have use restrictions placed on the site in perpetuity. This precludes the types of uses we were concerned with when the property was under contract originally. The restrictions are recorded against the property so that they remain in effect even if the property sells in the future. We have a buyback provision so that the city can purchase the property back in the event of a default at cost. And we also have fee credits or waivers to accommodate current site constraints. There is an on-site well that either needs to be abandoned or decommissioned or repurposed, and the property is not on our municipal water system and needs to be. And so these fee waivers help to accommodate those extraordinary costs. And then we have the city's storefront space. I will speak more to this in a minute, but the city to master lease 1,200 square feet of storefront space for our local businesses, and that is at a market rate lease. There are multiple benefits for this project. First is the obvious new and expanded dining opportunities. The proposed project replaces one formal restaurant with now up to potentially 7 restaurants. We have a very strong tenant mix that will drive additional foot traffic to the area and encourages additional new business investments. We have the employment opportunities, over 200 jobs, not including design, engineering, and construction jobs. We have new programming and gathering space and that can accommodate some of the activities that we're used to seeing at the Club Pheasant. We have our city storefront space, which provides a unique opportunity for our local businesses and entrepreneurs. They could be startups, home-based, mobile, to bring their concepts to an actual storefront. And we have maintaining Club Pheasant's history. The project design does build off of the original building, serving as that focal point at the intersection of Lake Washington and Jefferson, one of our most prominent intersections. The original building will be modified. It will be rebuilt with a modern farmhouse aesthetic. And the new look will illuminate and activate the corner of Jefferson and Washington. And once again, the Club Pheasant property will be a welcoming destination for the entire community. There are also a number of financial benefits. The property and sales tax revenues are estimated at $600,000 a year. There is a breakdown in the agenda report and highlighted on this slide. This allows the city to recover its initial investment within the first few years of operation and doubles that return by year 10. So it's 100% return on investment within a 10-year time frame. The estimated revenue to the city over that 10 years is $7.3 million, including the $1.5 million we will receive right up front for the sale of the property. These numbers don't account for the increased foot traffic to the area that's likely to generate more customers and sales tax growth for nearby properties. And I do want to just take a moment to discuss the land value, because that's the question I'm hearing most from the community. The city did purchase the property to prevent complete demolition of the buildings and to prevent redevelopment of the site with uses that aren't compatible with what we have grown to love at the Club Pheasant property. We did acquire the property for $3.3 million. We inherited that purchase price from another potential buyer. At that time, it was recognized that the value of the property when it came time for the city to sell would likely be significantly lower due to our development objectives for the site, which were to preserve the historical legacy of Club Pheasant, the property, the building, as much as possible, and also to make sure that the site continued on as a hospitality venue for our community. So based on those development objectives, we completed an updated appraisal for the property, assuming those restrictions, and that assessed value came back at $1.5 million. Through our negotiations, the development team committed to pay that price for the property. The retail storefront space is really exciting. This is 1,200 square feet of storefront space to be made available for local businesses. We have completed a letter of intent with the development team that outlines major terms of what that storefront lease looks like. Although there's still very much to be developed, the city would master lease the space at market rate rent. So over it, they progress each year, but over the 10-year period, the average rent is $95,000 a year, and that's reflected in the financial analysis table. The initial term is a 10-year term with the option for 2 5-year renewals. The developer would complete basic shell improvements for us, actually not basic, more than you would normally expect from a landlord. That includes finishing out the space and building a restroom and making sure that there is a grease trap and a ventilation system to accommodate future restaurants. That is could be several $100,000 worth of improvements. There would be, the city and the developer would coordinate on tenant recruitment and selection process. We have the value that this development team has actually experienced, and our consultant, Burton, working with other similar programs in the region. So we look forward to getting input from them that we can then bring back to you at a later date. The project design, quality, and use restrictions will apply. So that's to ensure that we have compatibility between the uses. If we know we're going to have temple, we want to make sure that we don't have another coffee facility there. And then the city would turn around and sublease that space to selected businesses with financial incentives to be determined. The financial analysis that was included in your report does include the city offering a tenant improvement allowance. It does include the city paying that $95,000 a year average lease, and it does assume we receive some of that back in the form of rent payment from our sublessor. There are a number of benefits for having this retail storefront space. It definitely complements the Small Business Accelerator program that we launched last year. It's been very successful. We can find a lot of synergies between that program and what we might be able to do here. It supports local entrepreneurs launching their food or other retail businesses. It creates more equitable access to entrepreneurship. And it's a unique opportunity for a new local business to co-locate with well-established tenants. There are also, as we develop the program, some considerations that I just wanted to share. This space could serve as either a pop-up, more short-term business tenant use, or a longer-term location for a selected business. Applications could be open to entrepreneurs hoping to launch their first startup, or maybe they already have a business, online, mobile, or home-based, and they want to transition to a brick-and-mortar facility, or it could be a business looking to expand. We assume that the rent will be structured to offer financial incentives in the early operations of a business. That's when it's most challenging for our small businesses. And we would work in the coming months to develop program options and come back to council for feedback and work with other organizations and our local businesses in the community. The schedule. If the purchase, sale, and development agreement is approved, the terms are approved this evening, we will move forward to execute the agreement. We will work over the next 3 months to start to develop the retail storefront program and come back to you. The design development will start. The development team will complete their designs in approximately 6 months. There'll be another 3 months for all of the planning and building reviews. The project construction could start as early as summer 2026, and we could see a grand opening as early as summer 2028. This concludes my presentation, but I would like to introduce Henry DeVere White to just say a few words on behalf of the development team.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Michelson. Mr. DeVere, once again.
Madam
thank you.
Mayor, council members, city staff, thank you so much, everybody here. We're really excited about this project. It takes a village to build a community, and we've had help from city officials. We've had help from Turton Commercial, who has stepped up and helped us navigate this process and coming to terms that can work. We all have a love for this location and for what it did for this community, and we hope to honor that. And we just want you to know that we will move as quickly as possible, as wisely as possible, to deliver a first-class product to this community. And we will be updating people along the way. We are just so excited to get started, and just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to share this with you, and we're here to answer any questions you might have. So we appreciate you all very much, and we're ready to get this moving. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, and hope you sit in the front row right there, because you'll be asking you some questions. You done with your presentation? Okay, bring it back to council for some questions, or unless you would like to wait till after public. Is there any public comment, Madam Clerk? What would you like to do? Public comment. Yes, take the public comment. It is kind of late.
Gay Reinhardt.
My name is Gay Reinhardt.
You might lower the mic, please. Really want to hear it.
Just bounces up. Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
Okay.
There we go.
My mother taking a stew pot and knocking on the back door at the Pheasant Club and getting our dinner of minestrone soup for 50 cents. So I have fond memories of the Pheasant Club, but I also, and all of this looks really great, but I also have a few questions for you. When you originally bought the Pheasant Club, what was your purpose in spending the $303 or $305 million of taxpayers' money for it? I'm assuming that between you and the planning manager that you had some plan and design for the property so that you could recoup our money. Or did you just think, well, somebody's going to come up with this great idea like they have right now tonight that they've presented so interestingly? So in my estimate, kind of here's how it worked out. First, you bought the property for the $3.5 million, and since you weren't able to resell it right away, you then had to hire a $100,000 a year marketing firm for 3 years to pay all the security, maintenance, and property taxes, lose all the sales tax, pay more brokers, architects, pollsters, and lawyers, drag your feet, stretch your hand, then sell it at over 60% loss for $1.5 million. And somebody mentioned that that's less than 2 houses in Bridgeway Island at much more than a $2 million loss. And you guys all seem to think that that made a good deal. So I'm going to quote you, Mayor Guerrero. You see a loss in revenue, but you can see the future because we're going to get funding back in future tax sales. Really, does that make sense? How many years will it take to recoup the taxpayers' loss? Which once you have recouped that, then what about all the years that you lost the extra money that when it was sitting vacant. So you really think that this is going to even out? So here's my question for you on the sale of the Pheasant Club property. Why should the taxpayers take a loss on the sale of this property when property values have not decreased? You made a $3.5 or $3 million commitment. Why would you be willing to sell it for a $2.1 million loss? Why wouldn't you wait to find a buyer willing to pay what you paid for it originally?
Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt.
Matt Kiesling.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Matt Kiesling. I live in District 4, a short walk from this site. And I'm asking you to please approve the PSA for Club Pheasant this evening. I'll say I've seen a lot of the chatter online, and I know there have been questions asked, but I was at the Dolphins swim practice right before I came here this evening. I told people that I had to leave practice early to run to City Hall for this item. Overwhelmingly, all of the parents said, thank God this project's coming forward. We can't wait for places to sit down and eat again and congregate and be a community again. I'll just say, when localities make investments, it's not about seeing an immediate return. You didn't invest in this site in order to get a profit off of it. You invested in this site to preserve what is an important corner for our community, what is a focal point for our community. And I think what you're doing now is doubling down on that, right? We could have had a gas station. We could have had a drive-through fast food restaurant. Instead, we're going to get a place for us to walk our kids, to sit down, to chat, to talk with our neighbors. And it's hard to put a price tag on that. So I commend you for your efforts and for all that you did to preserve that corner. I ask you to move forward with this project. I think it's going to be great.
Well
Thanks.
said. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for coming tonight, making the sacrifice. Any other speakers, Madam Clerk?
Guy Stevenson.
Oh, I think he left.
We have no other requests to speak on this item.
Closing public comment, bringing it back to council. Are there any questions? Comments? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Tracy, for the detailed presentation. I really appreciate how deep you went into all the numbers, the timeline, the tenant mix. This question is for you, Henry. I know a lot of thought and planning went into the design of the structure. A lot of conversation has happened about the historic preservation of the area. Could you talk about the development concept and the preservation of the Pheasant Club building features and the ethos of the space?
Yeah, well, I think we wanted to honor a story that we all relate to, right? So we went back to the beginning, and originally it was a testing facility for agriculture, a very small building, then it became a hideaway, and then into Club Pheasant. And the idea was to tie into that. And so we told ourselves a little story. We wanted to be creative, of the main focal point being kind of like a farmhouse that then expanded over time, like you would see in Napa and other places, where you start with one and production goes up and you go across. And really what it was to tell the story of the community and what's going on. So what we did was create a place for people to walk through, almost like a park. So you see a lot of patios outlined in the site plan. Those are just suggested patio areas. They'll actually be shrunk down and manageable for the tenants. The rest of the space then will be left to be activated. So think of sitting at a fire pit with your family, waiting to go in for your table. And then also in the Club Pheasant building itself, we wanted to replicate the windows and bring back the actual signage and honor the wall. So, you know, that view when you see it is really iconic. The other thing that we wanted to do is a little history on ourselves. My brother and I owned De Vere's Irish Pub for a lot of years. We lost it during COVID. And on those walls, we told the story of our family. And so we've been working with the Palmadesi family. And what we want to do in Club Pheasant Bar, we call it like Club Pheasant .20, we want to tell the story of the Palmadesi family. And we want to tell the story really of everybody who went to the Club Pheasant in West Sacramento. So we'll be reaching out to the community and try to do that through pictures and honor it. The other important key thing is I think everybody went to Club Pheasant for a celebration, neighborly chats. I know I dated a girl in high school that lived here, and we would always go and have dinner there. I've met a lot of friends after duck hunting, and we would go and have the fried raviolis. And so the overlying theme is a sense of place and a sense of hospitality. And if we could create a sense of place that people could identify for the next 4 or 5 generations, then we will honor the commitment that family put into that building. And if we could create a space where people could break bread, could have a conversation, could start a business, could gather to celebrate. That's why out in the front parking lot, we're going to make it so the Ballards can come up and we could have a farmer's market, or maybe we could have the local high school do a music presentation. Maybe we can display artwork throughout the patio areas. We wanted to touch on all that and bring the community together. If we do that and we create new memories and new stories by honoring the story that existed in those walls, we would have been successful. And so we're going to continue that through the design process and hopefully deliver on it in a way that you're really proud of. And so that's how we're going to do it. And it's taken a lot of coordination between everybody on the team and the city staff that we've been working with, and we're really passionate about this.
Thank you for that. And then wanted to ask you, we're in a unique position with our career technical education pathways at our high school and the culinary arts pathway. Is there any opportunity to connect our students with the tenants that will be moving in and create any new opportunities for our kids?
We heard this actually last night at Streets of London Pub. They were gracious enough to have us in there for a talk, and thank you, Mayor, for putting that together. Yeah, you know, that's really important to us. So obviously, I own restaurants with my family. I work with restaurateurs on a daily basis, and we're constantly trying to attract new talent and cultivate a love of what we do, and that is hospitality, food service. And so in Sacramento, where I've had my previous restaurants, we always would tap into local resources to bring students, to get them into a working environment where they can do that. And so what we planned here, because it was suggested last night, and I learned about the project, is we're going to put that into all of our lease packets for our tenants with how to do that, how to get a hold of them. And also a lot of the tenants that we are discussing with and have been long-term talks, they already do this in their other locations. And, you know, that's the key part. They're family-owned businesses that are community-based, and they want to support that. So I think it's a really easy fix and a great way to engage the community.
Wonderful. Thank you for that coordination, collaboration.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't have questions for him, so if you have questions, it's okay. I just want
No,
to make
go
sure I don't
ahead. Well,
interrupt.
he's going to stay up.
Okay. You don't have to stand. I mean, you could sit.
Oh.
It's just, I don't, I can talk at you for a little while if you want. So I want to speak to the public comment that we heard here as well on both sides of the ends. So I remember when, many years ago, when it was announced that Club Pheasant was closing, and probably like my council members, but I'll tell my story. My phone started blowing up. I have a little one, and so very much connected in, I've coached basketball, all the things, so very much connected in the community. And it was mostly parents saying, well, what are we going to do now? And also, what are you going to do as a city council member? It's like, okay, well, it doesn't work like that unless we own the land, right? We're not able just to take it over or dictate what happens to it. And I remember calling around and calling our city manager saying, hey, is it possible for us, I'm still a new council member, I think it might have been a year and a half in, that is it possible for the city to be able to do something about this? Because short of the city stepping in, the free market rules, right? And that means that as long as it's within our zoning ordinance, it can be turned into a gas station. It can be turned into a fast food restaurant. And quite frankly, particularly if you live in Southport, you will know that that's a lot of what happens in Southport when new properties come up. And as a longtime resident, it's been frustrating to see that. Even before I got on council, I would lament to some of the council members, previous council members on here, why can't we get restaurants? Why aren't more restaurants coming? What can you do about getting more restaurants? And once joining, what I would hear as I would ask entrepreneurs and businesses like, hey, West Sac, you should come to West Sac. We're growing, we're building, is you don't have enough rooftops. You don't have enough rooftops in order for a restaurant to be successful. And it's, again, if you're living here and you're seeing all the housing and the growth, you, as a normal resident who may not be familiar with all these things, you say, what are you talking about? We've got lots of residents. But from a business perspective, that wasn't the case, right? And at the end of the day, you have to create an environment in which businesses can survive, and not only survive, but thrive. And what is so unique that, again, I did not realize as I was asking our city manager, and probably much like our council members, hey, what can we do about this? Can we possibly purchase this? You know, the question we heard was, what did you have in mind? What I had in mind was ensuring not only that the historic nature of the site was protected, but that having a place for our community to come together and gather, having a place for families to be able to afford to take their kids to eat, that would happen. And that's what I pictured. In addition, I hoped and pictured that we would have a place where folks who maybe wouldn't normally get an opportunity to have a business, particularly in Southport, because if you talk to business owners there, the rents are so high. As you see empty storefronts, that's part of the issues that they face. Imagine trying to incubate or start a business, that we'd be able to give that opportunity. I could not have imagined that it would turn into multiple restaurants. I could have never imagined the project that you all brought forward. And quite frankly, that's what I love about West Sac so much, is that we constantly punch above our weight, and we are constantly ideating and thinking of the possibilities and what the future could look like. This would not be possible any other location in West Sacramento. And I really want to be clear about that. When we think about, well, couldn't you do that later down the road, or couldn't you do this first? This is possible because we have the Nugget right there. This is possible because we have Target right there. It brings in additional tourists, it brings in additional businesses, it brings in additional clients that will be able to go and participate in what we are doing here, which is creating community. It's what I love about government, when government really works well, which right now is hard to see across our country. But when government works well, it's not only that we are fiscally responsible, but that we are creating a place that not only people can live, but that they want to stay, that they want to enjoy, that they can grow their families in. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. I didn't think it was possible. We have had city council members come before us that have been the smartest in their region, the most capable, the most business-oriented, and they couldn't do this. I am honored that we are able to not only do what's fiscally sound in getting our dollars back, but also creating a place where I will absolutely bring my daughter, where I will bring my family. And when I think back to nearly 100 years ago, when there was literally nothing around that space except Club Pheasant, that we are creating what was there. It's the heart, it's the seed, the seedling, which is a place that folks can come and gather and commune. And it is a legacy that will live beyond all of us. And I just want to say thank you. I really do. It was a crazy idea, and I remember sitting in front of Franquette, also a place, right, that was able to be created because of your innovation, and saying to Aaron, like, I don't know if this is possible, but man, it would be really cool if we could pull this off. And here we are just a couple of years later, and it was even better. And so thank you for continuing to think outside the box. Thank you for putting our community first, always. And I can't wait to see this. The one question I had was, could we start construction earlier?
We're together on that, absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilmember Alcala.
Thank you, Mayor. This is something that I believe it's one of the times I'm very proud to say that all of us agreed that this would be an incredible investment for West Sacramento and for our community here. A return on investment takes time. Can't happen overnight. And what is that investment? You're looking at a place that families are going to come together, something we could really be proud of. I love the design. And I remember the Pheasant Club has a lot of great memories for everyone. Mostly, I keep thinking to myself, when I go to Winters, I see that beautiful downtown area It's historic, and everyone gathers around. They have so many events there, something to really be proud of. Go to Woodland, and you see another great area where people gather, beautiful historic area. You go to a lot of towns, you see it in in Sacramento, you don't see it in West Sac. We have very few landmarks here. We have the Sanchez family home. We're very proud that we didn't tear that down, we kept it. And the Pheasant Club is just another great place that has a history. I keep thinking about the Alhambra. I don't know how many of you remember the Alhambra movie theater in downtown Sacramento. That was a beautiful place, built in the 1930s. They tore it down to put a Safeway. We have to have some sense of community here and history. And I understand the concerns that some people have, but you elected us also to listen to what everyone needed. And the majority of the people I spoke with wanted this investment. At least that's what I heard from the majority of people who I spoke with. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
You want them now, or would you?
Yes,
Okay, I had questions and comments, and
Go
I didn't
ahead.
do
We'll have
everything, and so I
both.
apologize.
So, go ahead.
So I recently was asked, what is economic development? And it's a very lofty term, and, you know, if you're in the economic development department, you know, or if you studied economic development, you don't know, but that the average person doesn't know what economic development is. And I've always defined it as increasing the quality of life for a community. And I would argue it's almost our mission here at City Hall to increase the quality of life for our residents. Tonight, we are doing economic development. This is what it looks like in real time, investing in our community and thinking big and partnering with folks that believe in West Sacramento to do something that might, in our wildest imagination, thinking that this is what we could see on the corner of one of our most prominent neighborhoods in West Sacramento. Councilmember Alcala, absolutely agree with you on the feedback from residents. I've had community outreach. Let me take a step back. When I ran for office, this sits in the heart of District 4, and when I ran for office, something I heard loud and clear that I absolutely agreed with was how we could bring more family-friendly dining options and community gathering spaces to West Sacramento. This is what we're doing tonight. It's such an incredible time to be in our community, and I, been having more recent outreach events as well, and sharing neighborhood updates and projects and things that are going on, gathering feedbacks, and people are pumped. Comments from start construction next week to can't wait to go there to, we deserve this. And I agree, we deserve this. And so I'm very grateful to our city staff. Well, I'm grateful to Councilmember Early, who came up with the crazy idea. I remember in 2016, we had a saying at the chamber. It was like, West Sacramento, where crazy ideas come to life. And this to me is the crazy idea that is coming to life. We get to participate in it. It's such a momentous occasion. So thank you for having the idea. Thank you to my colleagues for supporting this. This is going to be such a wonderful addition to our community. Again, I want to thank the development team for believing in West Sacramento. And cannot wait. Summer 2028 can't come soon enough. And so thank you for all of the work it took to get here. We're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, Henry, for coming back. And thank you so much, to both of you for coming out tonight, and to Wesley for answering the call. There was a significant number of people there with a number of questions. And some of the questions, thank you for answering the other question and a commitment there for the culinary school. And also, I'm going to present some of the questions and answers you provided. If I'm off, please let me know. There was concern about additional foot traffic, and possible crime. And what in the responses, that was provided is there's going to be more security added to that area. And also the contribution, with fees to make sure that they contribute to providing additional security, both in our law enforcement and fire department, but also through private security. So if I'm off, please let me know. That helps in an area where we have seen, gun violence in the past. We do see a lot of youth who go there after school and could, cause a little ruckus. So there is an interest to see how we can engage our youth in other ways through higher, job opportunities, things like that. The other is a place where we have a lot of artists who would like to display their artwork and see if we can combine those efforts with our art guild here in West Sacramento. The other is charging stations and making sure that we have charging stations in place so that vehicles or scooters that come in, they're getting charged and they get to enjoy the area while also visiting. What other issues that I saw? I would say that the partnership with Washington Unified School District was emphasized in calling all dreamers or whatever programming that we can establish in the future. The question did come up about the lease that the city is going to be contributing, and you answered it tonight, Tracy, and both of you, just making sure. You did provide a lot of background. I will say sometimes a presentation on paper and it being out on a Friday night, where we only have a little bit of time, which is why I quickly posted the town hall or community meeting so that we can convey. And that was one of my hopes, is to have a workshop, more time to discuss it. However, I will say you had given us incrementally some of the planning that was going on behind the scenes. I did leak Jack Urban Eats, went over well with everybody. I'm glad that remained. In addition to what I heard was a complaint about not being more present in the community during the planning process. I will, convey that it is incumbent on all of us as council members to be out there in the community. We are being briefed, we are informed, and we do know what's happening. So during that period, last year, while I was informed and sharing, with thousands of, homes that I canvassed, what the plans were. A lot of people were very curious. They did take a look at the haircut we're taking on, the contribution we made, and whether this was a prudent decision on our part. Deep sigh. So with that, we know businesses don't grow from the ground, without support. That's why we've been studying this for many years and taking a look at either reducing impact fees, EIFD. We wouldn't have the riverfront that we have, the vibrant riverfront that we have now, if it hadn't been for investments that we have, creative ways that we've made. This city wouldn't be looking like it is today. And the tremendous revenue, property tax, sales tax, and then you get those that, are working here. So all of that contributes to the very strong, we during the economic, recession, we did have to, shed a few things, Station 45's engine, but they're all returning. Things are returning. We're continuing to grow housing. We're going to have additional venues where we hope the DeVere family takes a look at the future housing. You have a developer right behind you, Liberty. You take a look at building, restaurants out. Just build those partnerships. And so we do need to build these partnerships, because when we do have more housing and we want people to stay in place and shop local, eat local, they're going to bring their families. We want to demonstrate that the investment we are making today, we're going to attract more tomorrow. So that is what happens here. What you see is the beautiful riverfront, all the development that is happening, and we're going to continue to grow. And it's been just a great experience, for all of us as electeds to see the economic growth with Measure O, the increase in the sales tax. We did not plan that when we decided to purchase Club Pheasant. So it's going to bring in additional revenue. Yes, the $95,000 annually is penciled in still with a $2.8 million recovery in 10 years. And that's After 10 years, if you don't look at the details, it's 10 years and then we decide what to do after that. It's not in perpetuity. So after 10 years, if we decide this is not a good idea, we'll take a look at modifying that plan. And I'm not sure, Tracy, if you wanted to add a little more to that.
Yes, Mayor, are you referring to the storefront space?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of work to do to develop that program. And depending on how it rolls out, we could be in a situation where we have a local business that does phenomenally well and can stay in that space and doesn't need our assistance anymore. So I think it's just going to be a bit of a dynamic process as we go through it. A lot of the other programs in neighboring jurisdictions don't offer anywhere close to the level of support or incentives that we have the potential to offer here. So it's going to be a very different program than like the Calling All Dreamers or Pitch Elk Grove, but I think it's really exciting, and it could branch off and create other opportunities that we haven't even thought about today.
That's right. And in 10 years, we'll have more housing all around us. We'll have that beautiful apartment building right across filled. We will have a lot more people, presenting more foot traffic and presence, frequenting and being a good patron here. So
thank you. And I think everything that Megan's here this evening, who's been working with our Small Business Accelerator program, based on her experience and the interaction she's had with our local businesses, I think she's going to be able to help us develop this program in a way that meets the needs of our local entrepreneurs and also creates a lot of potential other opportunities.
Thank you. And in looking at updates for that, so you said in your comments that council can be included in the planning of that, right? Okay. So
yeah, we would absolutely, just like we did with the Small Business Accelerator program, we would come to council, present some information. We have a lot of due diligence to do. We want to learn best practices from other jurisdictions where they have programs that may be applicable, develop some options and workshop it with the council. It might take a few visits to council and other outreach so that we develop a program that's really exciting for our community and creates success for us in this project and for our local businesses.
Thank you. Well, I would like to close. I want to say thank you again for coming out last night and speaking with all of us. There was a tremendous applause in the end. There is and has always been a great level of excitement, a lot of energy, positive momentum. There are those who are really, looking at the cost as well. It's what we have to do to make these investments. It's historic in how we, move West Sacramento forward. And I'm going to quote the project description as summarizing the first paragraph. I want to say it was beautifully put, and I just want to, it's your presentation. It's what we will see in the future. And say, if these walls could talk, it's a well-known phrase, but at the redeveloped Club Pheasant property, they will talk, echoing with stories of the generations who gathered at the site for nearly 90 years. This landmark was the heartbeat of West Sacramento, the setting for weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, and wakes. Redevelopment of the property will breathe new life into this cherished space, welcoming the stories of today and I'll add tomorrow, while honoring the memories of yesterday. And with that, we look forward to that future and our partnership with you. Thank you all for being here. And if anybody else would like to share a few words before we wrap it up for a vote? Okay. Well, here we are with this historic vote.
Early moves? Oh, I want a second. Please.
Okay, early moved. And
enthusiastically.
Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio, second. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Ocala?
Aye.
Councilmember Early?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Hull?
Hell, aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Absolutely. Aye. All right, congratulations, and thank you so much for being here. Okay. Next, under public hearings, is item 15, under community development, is a public hearing regarding proposed Liberty specific plan and related land use approvals.
Madam Mayor.
Did I miss something?
No, I have to recuse myself from this item.
Oh, you do?
Yes, Liberty.
All right, we will wait. to Miss Apizio Hole? Recuses herself? She's gonna just go to the back. Don't be eating all the burgers back there.
Oh, there's.
There's no candy. I would like to have candy. Okay. Do you want to wait? No, you're good. Okay. Mr. Hardy, please proceed.
Okay. Mayor, members of the council, we are bringing back the,
Madam Mayor, can I suggest that we wait? Technically, you don't have a quorum at the moment.
I will wait, Mr. Hardy. You just have to wait. We want to make sure we have a quorum. Physically present in front of you. But you can introduce who's here on behalf of the project if you like.
so I'm the project manager, Dustin Hardy, who's part of the planning department. Along with me, Bob Lagomarsino is a consultant, long partner with the city. And that's the staff here in the presentation.
We have Terry Teeple.
And the applicant is here with his team. Do you have any questions there?
We have a quorum. You may now proceed.
All right. So I'll just give you a brief overview in the outline here on project context. The project under review for consideration tonight. The previously improved entitlements at the Planning Commission, council questions, comments, and then conclude with staff recommendation. So moving to just the project overview quickly, the site's 342 acres under single ownership by the PEGs, and they are proposing the specific plan with the land use entitlements before you tonight. It encompasses 1,503 residential units, 10,000 square feet of commercial space, 13,000 of quasi-private recreation area, and then 50 acres parks, roughly 25 acres of quasi public uses. Just to orient the community, on the left-hand side are the three major residential projects in Southport. The lower left is Yarborough. Directly south of Liberty is River Park, and then of course Liberty. Liberty is oriented basically southeast of the River City High School, north of Davis Road, south of Linden, and adjacent to the Village Parkway on the east and CBLT on the west. On the right is just the overlay of the project site where it borders the existing built environment. Little project chronology. Project was submitted in 2013. By May 2016, we held 2 scoping sessions with the community in Southport. 2017, the EIR was published, draft form. By June 2024, we held a workshop with the Planning Commission, took public feedback. That was incorporated into the documents published in September of 24 that ultimately went before the Planning Commission in October. There were 4 meetings with the Planning Commission, and the last meeting in January of 25. And then on that action, the appeal came before the council on March 5th. In the Planning Commission's decision on January 30th, it included the review of the entire project. At that meeting, they did, under their purview, certify the EAR and approve the vesting tentative map of the project. Part of their action included the other entitlements that are before you today as a recommendation to adopt the Liberty specific plan, approve the general plan framework and rezone, and approve the development agreement. This is the existing Southport framework plan, land use map, and Liberty's overlaid. During the general plan 2035 update, the land use overlay for the Southport framework plan was incorporated basically verbatim into the general plan. As you can see, it's very similar in look. and then further refined the zoning map, refined the general plan land uses and the land use type you see here. So that's the existing, what we have today. Before you, in first, is moving into the entitlement for your consideration tonight. What is a specific plan? It's a regulatory document that state allows to provide further refinement. And specificity is greater than the general plan, but it is not part of the general plan. It gives you tools to implement the elements of it. And there are several items within the specific plan that are required by state law. You need to have a land use map or diagram, description of the infrastructure necessary to serve the project, development standards, and the explanation of the regulations of the project, incorporated development standards, infrastructure improvement, and financial measures as well. And it does provide an explanation how it is related to the general plan. If a specific plan is ultimately adopted, it becomes part of the local planning framework as a regulatory document, and we are, as a government entity, the authors or the authority to implement any proposal to come forward. The specific plan has several pieces that are required by state law. As you can see, here's the list of all the title headings. I won't go into every single one of them, but that's everything in here is needed in order to comprehensively provide what's required by state law for a specific plan document. Excuse me. So some of the areas that to highlight within the specific plans is section 5 deals with the land use designations, the land use plan, similar to the general plan designations, but they are unique to the specific plan area. And then determine the land use consistency between the development proposals. Section 9 is development standards, so that's where we're high level. Now we're refining to a more refined level. Is development types and standards, which are identified in the exhibits and the tables, detailed descriptions of land use and zoning, what you would find, basis for development standards. This is where traditional zoning ordinance would have lot sizes, floor area ratio, building heights, and setback would be included in the specific plan itself. Architectural design standards. The farmhouse interpretive, contemporary cottage are the overarching themes to provide a mix of housing, but consistent with the Southport area as well. And it does provide, when a project comes forward, that the composition of the homes meet the architectural intent of the plan. So this is the land use plan on the left-hand side that would be created and reorganized as part of the specific plan land use. It still creates the buffer zones on the edge with single family low density, and it still has the center core of the recreation space, the school, the commons area. And on the right, again, development types more refined of what is going in each of those smaller areas. Subject to the Planning Commission's recommendation of the specific plan on January 30th, that is attachment 3, which includes that. Subsequent to that meeting, the applicant has proposed some revisions that came out of that meeting to address the surrounding neighbors' concerns. And so those are an attachment 4. I will note you did receive a errata of attachment 4, exhibit 1020 of a clarification pointed out. So we'll have that cleaned up for in the future. So Pearl Estates on the western edge, there'll be a single story limitation on the western edge of the properties within the Liberty project as part of the revisions. There'll be additional trees planted within the tree gap on the west side of CBLT where there currently is a large gap for screening. And in the rear yards on the western edge of Liberty, each rear yard will receive a valley oak tree planted as part of the project. The Stone Court and Redwood Avenue in the north east corner. So the single-story restrictions were added behind the Redwood properties, and there were some minor corrections to the exhibit with accuracy and clarity with the tree coverage and arborist reports required for future development there. And then just a minor correction for the map had identified certain numbers of lots, and we wanted the specific plan numbering in the lots in Liberty adjacent to Pistone to reflect the same numbers. So when they're looking at both documents.
Just a quick question about that. Will there be irrigation to maintain the trees that are growing, or for the valley oaks and the ones along the Clark Bird Branch Trail? Just to water the trees?
We have discussed that with the applicant to provide water, and
Okay.
in probably phase 2, but water would be needed initially to start the growth of the tree.
Right.
And I've discussed it with Jason with part of the CBLT trail improvement as well, but the timing isn't.
I mean, it's nice to plant a tree, but if it dies, that's all.
Infrastructure will be is in phase 2 that would be available, and the applicant could speak more on the infrastructure timing that would work under that, but it isn't in phase 2. So the next part of the piece of the requested entitlements is general plan and framework plan amendments. State law requires that specific plans be consistent with local general plans adopted for areas that they cover. The specific plan itself is consistent with the text of the general plan and the framework plan because those elements were incorporated into the general plan 2035, and we're not proposing as part of the project that it would change any of those contexts and those policy goals. What is needed is the amendment of the land uses to be rearranged slightly in order to create a pattern of which is designed, which is still consistent with the overarching goals of lower density on the fringes, higher density in the middle, your village core more in the middle of the project. And that's what basically the alignment of the amendments would require in order to accomplish that and be consistent. On the left-hand side, as you saw earlier, this is the existing general plan land use map. On the right would be the reconfigured specific plan land use designations as they appear in the specific plan. And then similarly, the framework plan as it exists today, and then the amended framework plan land use.
Can you go back? I just want to see that.
Sure.
Is that in our packet? I know we have a lot of little pictures here, but is that in our packet?
It's in the specific plan.
Oh, it's in the specific plan?
Correct.
Thank you. I'll take it from there. Go ahead.
Moving on to the next for your consideration is rezoning. So the state law does require rezoning to occur or the zoning to be consistent with the specific plan. The zoning code would be essentially replaced by the specific plan. We already have in Chapter 17 of the zoning ordinance a title heading for the specific plan for Liberty, River Park, Bridge District and Washington are in there as well. Essentially what this will do is replace the existing zoning code. And here's the map that ultimately is configured. The left-hand side is, again, the existing zoning in the future if the project moves forward. On the right, this is what you would see on the zoning map. And then you would refer to any specifics to the specific plan itself for land uses and development standards and architectural design features. And then lastly, for your consideration is a development agreement. It a contract between the city and the developer and the property owner to negotiate terms that not necessarily based in the project, but they provide amenities and benefits to the surrounding community coming to the project. It grants assurance that they're going to develop in a timeline and do certain improvements that we wouldn't normally have a funding stream or a nexus for the project to take care of. We have negotiated this with many staff on many occasions. All stakeholders were involved, several meetings to arrive at the plan that is in front of you today for your consideration. Some of the highlights of it is in section 4, it's a 10-year term. They get a 5-year extension if the affordable housing is constructed within the first 10 years. Might I add, the affordable housing is required in phase 1 for the multifamily. Funding commitments is related to the applicable fees, assessments, includes transportation-related funding on several items, reimbursement for completed projects, and prepayment of TIF fees, for example. 7.5 is infrastructure improvements, is the responsibility of the project. In order to move forward, it has to design, build, and construct at their expense. Section 10 is affordable housing obligations in the agreement, that 100 to 120 units would be in the multifamily in phase 1, as I mentioned. 30 to 50 units would be built as the market rate built homes are throughout the community as well. And they have a timetable in order to complete that listed in the section 10 of the development agreement. And then part of the development agreement includes financing in order to finance the project and one funding mechanisms. Typically, most projects we deal with would organize a CFD, Community Facilities District, in order to fund those mechanisms to move forward. And so with that, there are a few recommended actions as part of the project in order to move forward. The specific plan, proposed amendments to the general plan, the Southport Framework Plan, and is consistent with the certified EAR on the Planning Commission on January 30th, 2025. Approve a resolution amending the general plan 2035. Hold first reading of the ordinance for the specific plan and the included proposed revisions in attachment 4 and the errata piece. Hold the ordinance, first reading of the ordinance amending the zoning code, zoning map, and the framework plan, and hold first reading of ordinance approving a development agreement. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. And, Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak? Looks like there are. Would you like to have that? Go ahead. We're going to open up public comment.
Gay Reinhardt.
Hello.
lives in improving lives in West Sacramento. Your answer is to ensure public safety and protect property. If that truly is the case, then why did you approve 3,000 new homes in the Liberty Development area with no schools, no fire department, and in a flood zone? The Army Corps of Engineers states that the West Sacramento has a high probability of flooding due to its location at the confluence of the American Sacramento rivers adjacent to the Yolo bypass and within the Sacramento River flood plan. Is this what you call an increase for public safety and to protect property? The city of West Sacramento is also referred to as a bathtub because it's surrounded by levees. Levees which were to have been brought up to a 200-year level of protection by the year 2025. The city was able to restore 6 miles of levee in the Southport area by year's end of 2018, but nothing else of any consequence has been done to bring us near the 200-year compliance. It was originally to have been completed by 2025, and since this didn't happen, now we have till the year 2040. So until we have met the 200-year status, why are we adding all of these homes, approving Liberty and hopefully for you, Yarborough? Does this sound like ensure public safety and protect property? Madam Mayor and members of the City Council and Planning Manager, please don't let politics direct your decisions. Please don't trade your constituents' health and safety for developer profits. Let's not worry. Oh, but what I really want to say is it's time to worry about not putting people's lives in jeopardy by disregarding the chances of flooding and the lack of exits in the city of West Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt.
Ted Henderson?
Surprised my legs still work. Just wanted to say, I am a Redwood Avenue resident. I've been really happy with the Liver team and how they have accommodated the requests that we've made. I live on about an acre. Privacy is really important. Oak trees are really important. And they've been great to work with, support the project.
Thank you.
Dan Ramos?
Good evening, Mayor Guerrero, members of the City Council. I fooled you tonight. You thought I'd be speaking of the previous agenda item, but I let Henry's more eloquent. And thank you again for your support there. And sorry I missed the meeting last night. I had my wedding anniversary, so I figured I better go take my wife to dinner. So that worked out okay. Anyway, just wanted to speak real briefly on one particular subject, but I'm very familiar with this project, with the Liberty Project. Watched over the years, over 12 years of this planning process. This is a really heavy lift. We got a really excellent project here, very well designed. And I know the Pack family's been involved in this from day one there, so it's very supportive of it. But I want to make a point about flood control. As you guys know, I've served on our local RD 900 board for over 25 years, was president, and now we have you as our trustees. And I know how important flood protection is. We've worked on it for many, many years. We have our WSAFCA that Councilperson Akla is involved with, and it's a very serious, focused group, joint powers authority that's been supportive of flood control. And the city's done an excellent job of reaching out in terms of how we do evacuation. But the main thing I want to stress tonight, the reason why we want to build these homes is because they help contribute to our local funding with the fees that are derived from them. That's how this works. It's how our flood program works here with SAFCA, how it works over in Sacramento County with SAFCA, is we have our flood assessments that we all pay on our tax bills, but also it's the fees from the new homes that are going to help pay for our local share. That's an important match to have to get the federal dollars to finish the project, to meet the 200-year protection. It's really important. I want to be on the record tonight to make sure we all understand it. That's why the homes are important to get done and to have the ability to have our local match. And I can say and we've done a really good job of being out ahead of this in terms of getting that. City of Woodlands has some real issues right now in terms of flood control because they don't have the local support like we do here. and it can be, it's trying. So it's real important that we stay the course, done a great job, and building these homes is important, and this is a quality project you should be very proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramos.
We have no additional requests to speak on this item.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Closing the public comment, bringing it back to council for any questions or comments. Mr. Ramos raised a very good point. So when we decided to, when we asked the voters to assess our property taxes so that we can contribute to making sure that we establish flood protection after Hurricane Katrina, voted overwhelmingly to support that. And here we are, just proud to be the mayor to make sure that we secured the $1 billion in the startup, the new start costs, which is incrementally being implemented with our partnership with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And that funding is secure. There's no threat, but we do need to continue to maintain our share. And housing is the property tax revenue source that we have to continue to maintain the growth. Yes, we don't have the outlets, as the previous speaker, Mrs. Reinhardt said. We are building more bridges today. We anticipate the I Street Bridge will be one of those bigger bridges that would be built in the near future, and our Enterprise Bridge. So it's not like we just completely stopped building outlets. We are working on that. And the Sutterville Bridge was there in the past, and we'd like to pursue, exploring reinstating that. So that would get us into the Land Park area, over to the Interstate 5. And, so we do have plans. There was another bridge that was proposed, and I'm going to throw it Aaron here to explore. But we do need those outlets. We do need people to get out. Transportation will be congested. We do know that our LOC, on certain corners, there is going to be traffic. But we also have plans to mitigate that and to address that as new housing is developed. And it's been a long time waiting with Liberty, the recession, COVID slowing things down. And now we're finally at a point where we can get this project approved. Mr. Teeple, you've done a great job in keeping us all informed. And this is a project of by the Pack family. It isn't something they just didn't spend a whole lot of money. They spent a lot of money themselves in building a community that is an investment. Among investments that we all see from the city, the Pack family made a significant investment to see this development come to fruition. They're going to be great homes. Homes that I think a lot of us who are living here are going to be attracted to purchasing and living there as well. So just transferring our little home over to one of these little homes there that are going to be growing out there in the future. So I look forward to that. And if there are no comments or questions, I'm ready to accept a motion.
So moved.
Oh, second.
All right, Madam Clerk, Councilmember Alcala moved and Councilmember Early seconded, and boy, it was a risk just to have all three of us here tonight, wasn't it?
It was, man.
Councilmember Alcala?
Aye.
Councilmember Early?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. All right, this item is approved with 3 votes, and we'll wait for Aaron. Councilmember Sulpicio Hole in here. Have a good evening. Brian, are you up next? Okay, Brian and your partner.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Brian Johnson with Fire. And as much as I'd like to speak on this item, I want to, in an exercise of succession and to her credit and interest to learn and experience more of what community risk reduction has to offer, I want to introduce Senior Fire Inspector Adeline Wright.
Senior Fireline Inspector Adeline. Welcome. Welcome. Is this your first presentation?
Say that again?
Is this your first presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Get ready for a rose.
Thank you, Brian. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. On April 9th of this year, Council adopted Resolution 2535, which began the 2025 weed abatement process. Notices were then mailed to the property owners whose properties have been or could have been have potential weed abatement issues. Tonight, it is respectfully recommended that the City Council conduct a public hearing to receive objections and/or comments to the weed abatement notices by those property owners, and direct staff to proceed with the weed abatement program. Thank you, and I would be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions?
No, but it's one of the things I didn't mention during our proclamation that our firefighters deal with is weed abatement. So thank you for this as well.
Senior Fire Inspector.
Yes,
Adeline.
ma'am.
So this is to consider objections to the proposed removal of weeds.
Yes.
We have a lot of weeds out there.
We have less weeds down now.
We have less weeds. How do we get
Yes.
rid of the weeds?
People develop. People develop or people abate.
And they abate. And our goats?
Say it again?
Do our goats contribute to?
Of course.
They do.
Everybody loves the goats.
I've seen a property, but I'm not going to tell you where it is. It's a friend. And oh my goodness,
Oh,
who's
meeting's
doing all
over.
that?
Good time.
We're just hazing you.
We're just.
Yeah. No worries.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I could have been Houdini, but I didn't, you know.
How many properties do we have to,
1,246 properties, ma'am.
are you personally delivering each one of those notices?
No, our admin analyst, Nicole, someone in envelope mails them out through United States Postal Service.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're going to have to get out.
I'll be out there May 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th to do the weed abatement assessing, see if people abated or they didn't abate.
Look forward to seeing you out there. Take care of that.
Thank you.
And thank you for what you're doing.
Of course, thank
Greatly
you.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
all.
All right, what else do we need to do here? Conduct a public hearing. That's all we do.
Do we open it up? We're good?
Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
We have no requests to speak on this item.
What? No
request to
comment?
speak, no comment, no
Come on,
objections? Closing back
comment.
the public comment? Yes, you
Yeah.
may.
I just want to say you've done an excellent job. I'm excited. Great delegation and succession planning. I hope to see you next year.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Here, don't wait till next year. Come back anytime like Brian does.
I'll be here. I'll be back one more time.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
No problem.
You need us to move?
No, this is just a public, Madam Clerk, do we need to do anything on this?
Yes.
Oh, we do? Do we need to, okay, second the motion?
I'll move. Early seconds.
And Mayor Pro Tem Sapizio Hall moved and Councilmember Early second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Calla?
Aye.
Councilmember Early?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Hull?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. All right, this item is approved. Thank you so much. Next is item 70. By the way, there's burgers back there if you're hungry, Brian and Adeline. There's burgers in the back.
I did
Under-
not eat any of them while I
You
was
did?
back there,
Oh,
just
my
so you know.
goodness. Under Parks and Recreation is consideration of approval of Resolution 25-42, updating the City of West Sacramento Book of Fees for waterfront activities. So we have Erin Ayala, our business manager, here to present.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Erin Ayala. I am the Parks and
thank you.
Recreation Business Manager, and I am here tonight to bring you an item on the consideration of approval of Resolution 25-42, updating the City of West Sacramento Book of Fees for waterfront activities. In May of 2021, the City Council adopted Ordinance 21-5, allowing for the regulation of boating and and public boat dock activities on the Sacramento River, and Resolution 21-28, establishing the Book of Fees for waterfront activities. The Etinesh-Zaliki Public Boat Dock was open to the public for the 2021 boating season for day and overnight docking. City staff soon experienced challenges with illegal and unauthorized berthing activities. Without dedicated staff to regulate dock use, berthing fees were not being paid, overnight guests were refusing to leave, and in September 2024, the dock was closed to the public in preparation for the Ironman California race. Since then, city staff have been working with the City of Sacramento to develop a uniform plan for managing our respective boat docks on the Sacramento River. In order to open the boat dock to the community for the 2025 boating season, staff issued an RFP for a boat dock attendant to monitor berthing activities during the boating season. Staff is now asking that the City Council consider an updated fee fee schedule for waterfront activities to allow residents and guests safe and equitable access to the city's public.
Thank you. Erin, are there any questions from other council members?
Yes, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
We are using terminology that people may not understand when we talk about tie-ups per cleat. Can you explain what that equates to for like what people are actually going to be charged?
So the tie-up cleats are on the side of the dock, like the I guess the water side on the land side where the boats will actually tie up. So I guess depending on the size of the boat, it'll determine how much you pay. So maybe a smaller boat will only need 2 tie-up cleats, a bigger one maybe like 3. So if we have them paying $10 for a 4-hour period, it'll be probably comparable with parking in a parking lot. So and a lot of boat docks are charging by linear feet, and that isn't really compatible with what we use for monitoring parking. And we use Park Mobile, so it's like having parking spaces. So if they're getting designated parking or tie-up cleats, it'll be kind of like it should integrate well with Park Mobile and should be comparable. So a large vessel might be 3 tie-up cleats, a bigger one will be 4, and so it'll be $10 for tie-up cleats, so $40 for a 4-hour period.
I have a question. For those that were refusing to move, what were the issues? Why would you want to not, who is delivering the message? And then,
Well, they were being cited by the police department for being there. At one point, we were only allowing a day dock use. We tried to have it a way so we could have actually people use the dock, and they were refusing to leave. So, and at some point, when you are on the navigable waterway, you start basically establishing a residence. And so, yeah, they were refusing to leave. So they were cited, they were warned, and they chose not to leave. And we ended up using enforcement. We ended up going through the city attorney and exploring options for getting restraining orders. And yeah, it got messy. So we ended up, shutting down the dock in preparation for Ironman. And since then, we work with the city of Sacramento to find a mechanism. And we've determined really needing boots on the ground. So this boating season is our first real attempt at making this work and open to the public for safe use.
okay. Does this occur in other jurisdictions?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like the wild, wild west.
Oh. So it's been absorbing our public safety. We try to manage it.
We don't have, the PD doesn't have capacity. They just don't. And so as we're exploring having the park ranger program, that hopefully will work, but we're going to go ahead with the boat dock attendant for the time being, just to get a program in place that works. And if we're able to get the park ranger program going, that hopefully that will be the boots on the ground that we need to run the dock. And the city of Sacramento actually is following our lead. So initially we reached out to them to find, good practices, like, how could we make our dock work? And now we've sort of flipped the script, and now they're looking to us for our guidance.
Could you say that again?
Sorry, they've reached out to us. They do.
We like hearing that.
Because we're the city that makes stuff happen. We have follow through, and so yeah, they're taking our lead.
I'm just teasing. I'm like a little sister. I'm just always teasing. Thank you.
Would a parking attendant be sufficient reinforcement?
We have tried partnering with parking enforcement. They don't get out of their cars.
What?
They don't. They
Also keep in mind, it's a contract service that it's
Yeah.
not our own staff necessarily. And the main issue too, beyond all the challenges we've had, is the overnight use is not something that was contemplated to be used quite like what happened. We weren't saying come live at the dock. And so part of what we're doing here is instituting these hours of operation so that we have better enforcement mechanisms. We do have someone that is a liveaboard, and that's where the nuisance problems arise from.
And at parking, honestly, at the point we were dealing with in 2024, we actually needed sworn officers. It wasn't safe for a parking attendant to go down there without being
Right.
having
Well, that's my
protection.
point.
Yeah.
Is it sufficient? But
Well, this will give us an opportunity to have an attendant on site to check before people even tie up, to see that they actually paid the appropriate berthing permit. So it'll prevent, before they're even tied up, to let them know that they are welcome to stay or not. So this is,
how to tow them? Is that like
expensive.
Oh, I'm gonna have to stay in touch on this.
It's both expensive, but there's also a lack of proper facilities to tow a boat to. It's very difficult. We've had to deal with this at the port before as well over the years. And in addition to the nuisance activities that occur, it's very difficult to find a place that will accept a vessel that is not, it meets some of the challenges that we've had. So in addition to the cost, it's also even finding someone to do it. That's another real issue.
And I think that's why they feel like they don't have to entitle. They know there's.
Well, it's
really
different from like a parking permit. You have like a VIN number and DMV. Both are different. They have CF numbers, they have protocols. And a lot of people that live on those boats don't actually own them, or they're not the registered owner. So they just sort of collect tickets like, baseball cards and, welcome you to come back. So there's not really it's a more challenging mechanism or, for them to actually enforce.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll be looking into this a little more. Let's try this experiment. Thank you for at least looking into it. So with that, I guess we have to accept this book of fees and
Early move.
Madam Clerk, Councilmember Early moved and Councilmember Calla seconded. Thank you. Please.
Councilmember Acala?
Aye.
Councilmember Early?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Hull?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. All right. Thank you so much. Next, under General Administration, Function Part 2, do we have any reports from council assignments?
I'm gonna say fine.
Council calendar,
No report tonight.
city manager report,
No report, thank you.
city attorney report,
No report?
staff direction from council. Was there any staff direction from council members in the binder? I didn't see. There were not. There were not? No future agenda item requests. All right. And with that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Early moves.
Right, yes, Councilmember Early moved, Madam Mayor Pro Tem seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Acala?
Aye.
Councilmember Early?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Hull?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye, we are now adjourned. Thank you.